Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of MNW Firing Line, your guide to Multiverse Nexus Wrestling. I'm your host, Jerry Aldini, aka Dr. Caliban, and with me, as always, is Pete McPherson, aka Storytellers Apprentice.
Hello.
And what a night we have ahead of us. This was a doozy of a week in MNW.
Indeed.
And oh, there is so much to go over. But before we do that, real quick, thank you to Hartley Reapter for gifting a Tier 1 sub to Travis A. Carey. And thank you to Burnout Vaughn for their 13-month resub at Tier 1. Welcome to the show. Also, we got a couple things we'd like to plug before we get into the show proper. So let's go ahead and in the theme song and talk about the MNW YouTube channel. More to the point, yeah. We had a special event happen this weekend. We had a director's commentary of the last match of the Edward Bosco, the MVP of MNW. And as a bonus during that live stream, we had a commentary on the battle between Helixux and Arkolf that led to Helixux winning the heavyweight championship. And those were great, but because we had a little challenge getting the stream started at time,
Technical difficulties
did occur. We ended up, what we've done is yesterday a edit of just the director's commentary of the MVP match went live on YouTube. And as we speak, an edit of the Helixux Arkolf match has gone live on YouTube. So yeah, if you want to check those out after the show, you can go over to Multiverse Nexus Wrestling on YouTube and check that out, as well as all the other fine comment we have on the U of Tubes. And no, the birth of the VIP, we do not have footage of that. Sorry. Nor do we have footage of the first match. Because, stuff and things and other things. I think that covers it, doesn't it, Pete?
I believe so. And these links should be up for both YouTube videos.
Yeah. And with that, so obviously, as we get into the Flashbang portion of the show, there's a lot that's been going on. Enough that before we get into the show, I want to lay some groundwork for what's been going on, especially if we have any new viewers or anyone checking us out for the first time. Generally, with MNW, you have the Flashbang brand and you have the Warzone brand. Flashbang happens on Friday night. It's hosted by Eric Genericson. It has wrestlers the likes of Nero Napier, Jagger Blackthorn, Doom, the Bone Warriors. Warzone has Burnout Vaughn. It has Trashman Jones. It has the Outlaws. It has VIP.
Has Wilson.
It does have Wilson. And it has the main event Mex.exe. And that's all fine. But ever since Breakdown 5, those dividing lines have been getting blurrier and blurrier. And up till last Friday, fortunately, it had been limited to exchanges between the main event Mex.exe and Doom. Starting with a prank that Meme played on Doom during their match at Breakdown 5. Meme retaliated by interfering with the VIP Trios title match, or the Meme Trios title match against VIP, which resulted in Meme losing their belts. And it's been going back and forth since then, with members of Meme showing up on Flashbang and members of Doom showing up on Warzone. And
cats, dogs living together, mass hysteria.
Mass hysteria. There's going to be a large marshmallow man at some point. We don't know. And with that,
kind of surprised there isn't already.
I mean, it's
the feeling. I sense all of a sudden a force.
Oh no!
It is now. So
clear your mind. Clear your mind. The last thing we need is a giant vacant, crashing down on the city.
The vacant puff marshmallow man.
I mean, no, don't say that, because then we're going to get a commercial. You don't know. You know what?
I've just learned to accept the chaos.
Yeah, it's pretty much what you have to do. Speaking of accepting the chaos, let's get into the show proper. And the show started out with the World Heavyweight Champion Nero Napier coming to the ring. A lot's been happening, and while all this cross-brand chaos has been going on, there's been other issues. Nero having challengers for his belt, dealing with various people attacking his stable, the well-known Apex. I was going to say well-respected, then I realized I need to be honest. And, well, he wanted to share some thoughts. Unfortunately, things don't always go as smoothly as the champ would like.
All of you will pay for your transgressions. Artemis, Jagger, you will be torn asunder by Labris and Blight Howlis. Your poison will never infect anyone else ever again. And you, Stevens, if you so badly want the Minotaur, he will meet you Easter weekend. And I will make sure I am there at ringside. My loyalties will not be questioned, because you're either Apex or you're against us.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Friday Night Flashbang. Nero Napier kicking us off, and he had a lot on his mind. He blamed Artemis and Jagger for creating the poison that, unfortunately has infected Blight Howlis. Both of them claim that they had nothing to do with that. However, there is no doubt, as revealed by the Omni Geek, it was the poison of the Omni Slayers that infected Blight Howlis. And tonight, apparently we're getting the Omni Slayers versus Blight and Labris, which means Labris will see you at Breakdown 6, Scott.
And there you have it. Yeah, apparently Nero said a lot, but as his for the second time, his microphone wasn't hot at the start of his promo. Which,
very interesting.
It's odd. I mean, it's hard to. I mean, we have our technical issues. But we got Phyllis, who's our producer, who's working the board. I don't know who does that for Flashbang anymore, to be honest.
I'm not sure either.
So, anyway, let's with that. I mean, obviously, we'll find out later in that match that was called out for by Nero, and moving on to the first actual match of the night. So, if you're not familiar with Friday Night Flashbang, there are several specialty matches that happen throughout the program. The most well-known of them, of course, being the 8-man showcase match. But for the second week in a row, we actually didn't have a showcase. But that doesn't mean we didn't have matches showcasing multiple superstars. Instead, we had a Get Off the Schneid match. And just really quick for anyone not familiar, the Schneid, being on the Schneid is the term for being on a losing streak. And so a Get Off the Schneid match is where you take several wrestlers who've been on a losing streak and throw them in a match because one of them's got to win. And this time, the 4 wrestlers who were on the Schneid, well, first off, the Bad CG goes. Not just on the Schneid, but his faction's been taking a lot of lumps. The Grim Reaper, the supposed strategist of the Empire, Dragoon, recently aligned with House Caliban, and the Doof, who, as far as our record show, has actually never won a match.
Yep, I believe that you are correct.
Yeah. So Bad CG Ghost, of course, is dealing with the fact that his tag team partner, the Punk Master Ghost, is currently in the hospital after having been the victim of a deliberate hit-and-run attack. Dragoon recently aligned himself with House Caliban, at least on a provisional basis, initially to help them out with their Survivor Series style match against the Cartel, which didn't go in House Caliban's favor. The Reaper, even though the Empire has been holding their own, he himself has not been pulling his weight. And then the Doof is just the Doof. And, you know, maybe it's because the Doof does things like this. That's an awful lot for an elbow, if you ask me.
Yeah, a little bit.
But also, you know, I didn't show it because why reward bad behavior? But we have to spend so much money on his pyro. And it's like,
we really should.
We should pull back. I mean, it's not like he's doing anything to earn it.
Yeah.
So, meanwhile, the Bad CG Ghost in the ring. Bad CG Ghost it takes a moment here to remind us that while he's currently on the Schneid, he actually has a really solid career. And with that, he eliminates the Doof to, I'm sure, the pleasure of the ring crew who has to set up those pyros. And then, once it's down to just the three, you know, the Grim Reaper working his hardest to try and get that single leg Boston Crab on Dragoon. And when that doesn't work, Dragoon gets out of there, and you know, the Ghost manages to get a pin on the Reaper. So we got of his three opponents, Grim Reaper has just now eliminated two of them. And that puts us down to the Ghost and the Lone Ranger, the Dragoon. And this is, you know, it's one of those things, because again, we may have to check our notes. I don't know that Dragoon has ever had a singles win.
I don't believe he has.
Yeah, so he, like the Doof, is looking to truly get off the Schneid. Whereas Bad CG Ghost is looking to get a little bit more momentum. Now, no matter what you say about CG, he eliminated two of the three opponents. But for actually getting in the win column, it's the Dragoon.
Yeah.
And so
officially off the Schneid.
Officially off the Schneid is the Dragoon. So that, and you know, a lot of people argue Dragoon really needed this win. Also, I mean, especially after what happened at Breakdown 5. You had everyone was looking for House Caliban to beat the Cartel. Didn't happen. But since then, the Time Bandits redeemed themselves, having a undisputed victory over Cartel's tag team of Nitzig Gunkgobla and Hutch Kale. And now with Dragoon very decisively winning that Get Off the Schneid match. Let's remember that Victor Vicious was put in a Get Off the Schneid match, won, and turned the fortunes, at least of his own career, around. We've seen that DeLuna was in a Get Off the Schneid match. How many people remember DeLuna used to be a perpetual underperformer before he turned his career around? Those. The Get Off the Schneid match is not a small thing.
No, not at all.
And with that, so now that we've got that, and you know, we've got a victory for Dragoon. Another issue that had happened, of course, later in the program, the main event of this episode of Friday Night Flashbang is scheduled to be Dungeons and Destiny taking on the Bone Warriors for the Tag Team Championship. In a singles match where we saw Burden teaming, going up against Drathulu, there was, I don't know if, there was a little bit of interference from Kevin Blackwell, who had some run-ins already with Burden. And that match ended with Cthulhu winning and then celebrating in the ring with Kevin Blackwell. A lot of people questioned what was going on, and apparently one of those people was Cthulhu's mother, Moira Draco.
I don't appreciate you being ringside for my boy's match, Kevin Blackwell. I don't appreciate you pretending to shake his hand like you were there for him. I don't appreciate whatever lie you told him to be down there in the first place. I don't want you anywhere near them or this title match. And so I thought to myself, there's really only one way to ensure that you don't get involved in the main event, and that's to make sure you're busy. Are you following where I'm going, Kevin? I know you're a bit slow, but I can say it slowly for you if you would like. Let's try this. Follow along, children. Kevin, I am challenging you to a one-on-one match. Simple as that. Even my children understand when you have a problem with somebody, you deal with it. So I'm calling you out. You seem to have a bit of trouble winning the big matches. And since there's so much on the line, maybe you'll choke again. That's why you're hanging around my boys, because you don't know what it's like to have a championship around your waist, do you, Kevin? I don't fear you. No one really fears you. You're just the schoolyard bully, and Mama is home. Mama is going to dole out some discipline.
So there you have it. Mama Draco, Moira Draco, the mother of Lord Bareback and Cthulhu, has called out Kevin Blackwell, which is reasonable. I mean, if you're a parent, you do not want to see your child hanging out with a disreputable individual like Blackwell. Unfortunately, while we were playing that, something has happened. I'm trying to. Pete's had to leave the booth. Trying to figure out. Then hang on, is somebody out there? What's going on here? Hang on. Okay, I don't know what's going on. I'm waiting for some word. Pete got called away, and Phyllis is trying to find me somebody who can pitch in until Pete can get back. So until that happens, we'll move on with the show. So with that, where was I? Phyllis, what? Phyllis, that's a cat. Why is there a cat in the booth? All right, fine. Now she's saying she's got somebody who's been, I don't know. We'll get this figured out. All right. Fine. Well, I will run this solo until this gets worked out. In the meantime, last week there had been some issues. Everyone should remember there has been a lot of back and forth in the regards to, shall we say, intergender wrestling. And there had been a 4-on-4 tag team match, which was all intergender teams, including Tigery of the Empire, the wife of Johan Mjoln, and TK, the newest member of Spectre Sonata. And that match ended with TK getting the pin over Tigery's husband, Johan Mjoln. All right. Well, with that happening, there was some call-outs, and it ultimately ended up in this match being set up. TK coming to the ring with Naja up against Tigery, who is coming to the ring with her husband, Johan Mjoln. And Phyllis has got me somebody who's. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Hello. Yeah, get the headset on. Anyway, I'm going to keep calling the match while my new co-commentator gets set up.
I'm here. Right. I got an email from Mr. Lawson, and he suggested I give you guys a call. Why exactly?
Pete had to, something came up. Pete had to step out. I need a co-commentator for a little bit.
Oh. Sure. Why not?
Right. So right now, as we're seeing, we have TK taking on the wife of Johan Mjoln, Tigeri. And the rivalry here that seems to be growing, a lot of it is obviously Tigeri being upset that somebody as, seemingly small as TK has been able to beat her husband. And, oh, hang on, somebody else is coming into the booth now. Oh, hey. Hi, Joe.
Hey!
All right, so now we have Joe Mojo. Oh, this is getting lively in here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Joe Mojo. All right, I'm going to keep calling this match. TK versus Tigeri. A lot of people forget that Tigeri is a type of spirit that I can never remember the name of.
I believe she is a Nekomata?
Nekomata, that sounds familiar. And thus is a lot stronger than her slight frame would suggest. And very able to take on a demigod, or in this case, an Amazon. I guess the real question is going to be, is this going to be an ongoing rivalry, or is this just a little bump in the road as they're dealing with the issues? What do we think is really going on here?
From what we gathered from the, I guess from the interviews that let's face it, Johan just kind of stole my microphone. But from what he mentioned, it feels like there's something more. But I honestly don't really know. I'm usually too nervous whenever Tigeri shows up. She's terrifying.
All right, and Scott, what's your take on this as a professional wrestler, looking at these two women going at it in the ring?
Beautiful super kick.
It seems to me like Johan is embarrassed that he got humiliated by someone of such a small stature, and rather than be a man and face his issues head on, he sends his wife to go in and do his dirty work.
See, that's not actually. I don't think that is very. Yeah, excuse me. I don't think that is true. Mostly due to. Well, he never from the found footage that Tigeri sent to myself and Brad last week. It was he pretty much just said he wanted to face TK the entire time, but for some reason he ended up facing CG right after that tag match. So I'm not sure what's going on. It's definitely nothing about his Warriors Pride or anything.
Okay, well, clearly we're getting off to a bad start here, because the last thing I need is for some know-it-all to come in with information that I had no access to, coming out and telling me flat out that I'm wrong. So I suggest watch your tone, sir.
So what Eric Genericson does on this very show every week.
Oh, no, please don't start this, guys. We really got to get through the show. At least till Pete gets back. Okay, I'm going to show something I think we can all agree on, all right? And that is, as I said at the top of the show, we are in the midst of, growing issues between the Flashbang brand and the Warzone brand. And so far, that has been limited to sniping and attacks between Meme and Doom. However, it turned out that was not going to remain the case. As we had a match that was set up to be a rematch between the Sandman and Hutch Kale of the Cartel. And as Sandman was coming out to the ring, doing his entrance and getting ready to come on and take on the Mandalorian, out of nowhere, Trashman Jones comes and attacks him. And
now, I know this is going to be a really weird thing, but right. I'm actually going to agree with everybody watching right now that Trashman coming out here and attacking Sandman completely unprovoked is classless, tactless, and disrespectful, to say the least.
Yeah, and like I said, I think we can all agree on that, Scott. And then he leaves. This is okay, we're going to get into this, because this is not the first time somebody has attacked Sandman on the ramp and left him there. But at least the last time made sense within what things going on Flashbang. And then this happened.
So, I came on down from Warzone because apparently you can just do that and go onto each other's shows and fuck up shit. So anyways, I decided to kick the ass whoever the hell that was on behalf of Warzone. From all of us, just to you, know that the sword of Damocles swings back to you. You know, I gotta admit, it's a truth. My heart of hearts here. Earl King West is right about the lot of you. All of you are truly beneath him. And I don't just say that because of how great he is. I say that because he's a mid-carder on Warzone, and a mid-carder on Warzone is a main eventer on Flashbang. And you just ask your boy how that's going for him. Oh, and by the way, there's the one more reason why I came on down here to this goddamn ring. And it's a very personal one from you in the back. All of you know it from my heart of hearts that I'm doing this for the real reason. I came here to piss in the toilet that created Wilson, the son of Will. So everybody, avert your eyes. We're about to go 18 goddamn plus here. Uh-oh. Whoa, last time I saw you, you were running away just like this. Away from me, this is my impression of you last time I saw you. Yes. You
Once or twice.
And then we go to backstage and we find that members of Nakama Worldwide are attacking the other members of House Caliban. We see Bart Ender going after the Creation. And now let's remember, when the cartel started, this was what it's like. They're cribbing from Victor Vicious's notes. Oh, it worked for Victor Vicious. Let's try that. The problem is Victor Vicious knew enough to go after the Creation, with the Creation not having a chance to fight back. Whereas Bart Ender decided, no, I'll face the Creation one-on-one. And I think we can all agree to say, why don't you ask Bulldog Grant Martin how that worked out?
They could have sent Depth Charge.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, they could have sent Depth Charge to go after Creation, but I guess Trashman still kind of miffed at Bart Ender, so he's like, "No, go ahead and just go fight Creation for me real quick." And he's like, "All right." Oh God, big mistake.
And Scott,
I've got to say, I've had so much respect for Bart Ender leading up to him joining Nakama Worldwide, and this has to be a low point for his career. You know, as I stated when I first got into the company, that I only respect quote unquote real professional wrestlers, and I knew Bart Ender's career before coming to the multiverse, and so I figured birds of a feather. But then he falls in with the likes of Trashman Jones, who is by all accounts a garbage person, and this is just, I never thought I'd see him sink to such a low.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. It's shocking, especially because it seemed, and then of course this Power Surge, the mini me to Trashman Jones, Dr. Evil, going after Thunderbolt, who, all right, I don't know if you guys have noticed exactly how bad Thunderbolt's temper can actually get. But yeah, the one thing you don't do with Thunderbolt is mess with his partner or his family.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm sure that he was coming rushing to Sandman's aid, and that he was intercepted by Power Surge. So Power Surge is already starting with a fairly bad idea.
Yeah,
and then he eats two stand and delivers for his trouble.
Yeah, and gets a
Although I will give Nakama Worldwide this much: bonus points for the theming, having Power Surge go after Thunderbolt, like good, committing to the shtick.
Okay, fair. I mean, I would be willing to wager not that much forethought went into it. I'd say they more got lucky. And as for Bart Ender, very likely his Bart got ended.
Yeah, unfortunately. Although I won't lie, the moment I saw Thunderbolt and Power Surge go at it, my first thought was, my God, how glorious of a match would that be?
I mean, it would be, and I don't know. I mean, let's, as we'll see as the night goes on, it might happen. But, Yeah, that was and honestly, I look at this, and we'll examine this as the night goes on and we see more things happening. But how much of this do you think is Trashman being upset that Warzone wrestlers were facing Flashbang wrestlers, and Trashman going, "Wait a second, why is Meme getting more attention than I am?"
That does
I'm
sound very plausible.
sure it's a matter of anyone getting more attention than Trashman Jones. You don't have to be a rabid follower of MNW Warzone to know what an attention whore Trashman Jones has been from day one, whichever side of the fan support he was on. And you don't have to be a rabid follower of either show to know that Flashbang has been blowing Warzone away with the quality of content that we've been presenting. And despite what certain people might say, it's not a show, it's not an act. This is just as real, hard-hitting competition as they have over there on Saturday nights.
Oh, hang on a second. I'm getting a note. It's Phyllis. Something about balanced commentary, and I need to open up the other line. Hang on.
Oh, brother.
I'm sure this won't be. Oh, jeez. Hello?
Oh, hello.
Hello? Who do I have on the line?
Hello there, this is Chip Cheddison with the I am
Chip?
yes, Chip Cheddison with the slammiest news. How are you doing tonight?
Great. Phyllis said something about needing to bring you in for balance. Could you explain that?
Well, I always keep myself, like my mother used to say, keep a balanced diet and keep yourself balanced in life. And he probably understood what I was exactly saying and tried to bring me in.
I see. You know what? We're just going to move on.
I recognize him.
You do?
Okay. Where do I recognize you from?
Wait a minute. Chip Cheddarson? Aren't you the news shill for VIP?
No, that would be the slimy, underhanded Brian. No, I am Chip Cheddison, the greatest news reporter for MNW that you've probably never heard of, because my tabloid magazines are going down like my career, in the toilet.
Ah, that's why I recognize you, tabloids.
So we're balancing the quality commentary that we're already providing with literal toilet water?
Well, we just need to bring the intelligence up. I mean, you joined in, and it kind of dropped down a few...
Gentlemen, while we settle this out, Pete, why? Okay, I'm going to move on to the next match. The Death himself, Helix Sucks, has in part come to Flashbang to get his hands on his old arch rival Earl King Wes, and as is the Earl King's style, he has put several roadblocks in the way of the Avatar of Death, in the form of telling him he has to beat the other members of the Empire before he gets his crack at the King of Kings. And so far, Helix Sucks has been going through, I'm going to say it, Helix Sucks has been going through the Empire like Scott E. Stevens goes through Apex.
That is a wonderful and very accurate analogy.
And unfortunately, the next match he has to face, Death himself comes down to face the most disturbing member of the Empire, the Cleaver. A man so disturbing he doesn't even get his own name title card.
Yeah, he was rough to look at whenever I had to ask V for an interview.
And so this match, this is similar to Lord V. This is a member of the Empire who can actually pretty much look Helix Sucks in the eye. Scott, you haven't had a chance to have a one-on-one match with the Cleaver yet, have you?
That is correct. I have never shared a ring with either of these combatants, and I'm very okay with that.
All right. But, I mean, no matter what, you've got to recognize, and I think everyone recognizes, that Helix Sucks is a former heavyweight champion. In fact, just gone live today, a director's cut of his championship-winning match is up on our YouTube channel. The Cleaver, on the other hand, has been... he is that enforcer for Earl King West. He's the one that West sends out when he really wants to take someone down.
But really, really doesn't want to get his hands dirty.
Well, and so, the usual for Earl King Wes.
Well, you know how I feel about people like that, don't you?
Yes, you've been on the record several times, including about Wes.
Several.
But here, what is your Okay, so I'm going to assume, and it may be wrong, but I'm assuming you have at least some respect for Helix Sucks as a competitor.
Absolutely. He is like one of the franchise players of all of MNW, and it has been a fixture in the company for pretty much the entire time that it's been around, as I recall. He's kind of a litmus test, if you will. He's in the same caliber as the Allfather, in terms of, if you want to be great in this company, you got to go through this person. And Helix Sucks is absolutely one of those people. And anybody who thinks otherwise is a moron.
All right, but what's your take on the Cleaver?
Cleaver is... First of all, I don't even know what he is.
Demon.
So I'm sure there's some unearthly power involved in that, but I'm sure it's nothing that generally Helix Sucks can handle. But as we just saw at the conclusion of the match, he got the upper hand. He is a terrifying individual, and is frankly being wasted as being a hired goon for the likes of Earl King Wes. He, like so many members of Apex, as I've mentioned in the past, has a ton of potential and could easily be a champion if they weren't allowing themselves to be held back by their so-called leaders.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you did make a comparison to Scotty Stevens with Apex, and, well, it kind of shows here with Helix not really getting one over on the Cleaver.
So sure, and I'm sure there are some lasting effects from the beating he took, he being Helix Sucks, recently, when it took 3 people to take him down, if I recall correctly.
Let's see here. I believe Helix actually fought everybody in the Empire with the exception of Earl King and Cleaver up to this point. I could be wrong.
I do believe the Cleaver is the last gate.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll have to see, but it's also like you, Scott, and Labras. Sure, you haven't beat him yet, but you're still trying.
Absolutely, and as Genericson himself said to me in regards to Crimson Phoenix, any given Sunday, or as in this case Friday, I feel that the Cleaver and Helix Sucks are fairly evenly matched, and either one is just as likely to get the upper hand on the other any given day. It's just a matter of, I don't want to say luck, but there's a lot of factors there that go into it, and it's always anyone's game. Anytime you step into the ring, it's anyone's game.
Fair enough. Now, for the next match we're going to cover, the next one came up as a tag match. So, as we stated, the main event for the episode of Flashbang we are looking at today, it was a tag match between Dungeons and Destiny and the Bone Warriors. But one of the questions is, well, once that championship match is decided, there needs to be a new contender. and there are teams jockeying for position for their crack, and 2 teams who have yet to have a shot at the gold faced off in a match to prove themselves to the brass that they are the ones to get that next shot. The first is the cartel adjacent Mad World taking on the team of Electro Reality, Electro Man and the VR Junkie. This is an interesting match, only in Junkie and Electro Man are 2 of the original members of the Flashbang roster, along with the Madness, Madjester Fool being one of the more new recruits to the ranks, and thus that team of Mad World being one of the newer teams. However, neither team has had been able to quite break through the glass ceiling. Scott, what are your feelings on these 2 teams?
Well, at this particular moment, I have a bit of a bias against the madness. For what may seem like a silly reason, because one of the members is named MJF, and for anybody who's keeping track of things going on in my home multiverse, I'm not very happy with someone in my multiverse named MJF at the moment. But that aside, both of these teams have shown a lot of potential, a lot of fight, and I have about as much respect for both teams as I possibly can, and granted, it's not a whole lot because they're both really hard to look at.
I mean, I kind of just look back to that first episode of Friday Night Flashbang and like those first few episodes, Electroman and VR Junkie, they probably had like almost not as bad of a time as like Donkey Kong still is.
And nobody's had as bad a time as Donkey Kong.
No one. But they were pretty much just considered jobbers up until like I want to say about a year ago when they were really hitting their stride and really coordinating with each other. I'm just blown away by the progress.
I mean, okay, that's fair. So if we went from a point of view of most improved tag team, you might suggest that Electro Reality can count in that. Fair.
Yeah, because Mad World has had a lot of time in the spotlight where we see Electro Reality like once every 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
I wanna go off on a tangent real quick and respond to something I'm seeing in the chat here. Burnout Vaughn asking, he's gone through Arkoff twice. What does that make him? That makes you the heavyweight champion on Warzone.
Just gonna,
fair.
Apply the chapstick there. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's a fair assessment. Yeah, he's taken on the All-Father twice, and now he's got the top belt. Now, Mad World. Now, I'm interested in this. The victory came at the hands of the Mad Jester Fool, who actually holds a rare distinction on the Flashbang roster. Mad Jester Fool is one of 3 combatants in our roster to have won 3 showcase matches.
Huh.
Yeah,
that is quite the feat. I won't lie.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, no one is yet touching the record of 5 held by Big Rock, but only Fuck Him Wang and the Aristocratic Canid match up to Mad Jester Fool for the being in the 3-win club.
I mean, to be relegated to showcase matches that many times is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, the next thing, all right, so we were discussing...
No offense to Big Rock, because everybody knows that Big Rock does it for fun.
Yeah, Big Rock, and Big Rock is the king of those matches, so... Also, Big Rock, he and Huge Mane have been making great showings lately. With that, the next one we get a look at, if you're all ready, is we all knew this was coming, and we were discussing it earlier. Earl King West and his shenanigans. So the Fey King came to the ring with a microphone, and let's hear what he had to say this time.
Wiley, you have had a tremendous run as the interdimensional champion, and I believe it is time to come to an end. And so I am officially and formally challenging you to an interdimensional championship match because I have been without gold around my waist for too long, and I have never held singles gold.
I figured this was inevitable. Eventually, you were going to find yourself in a position where you had some claim to my championship. The problem is, Earl King, this championship is not like many others in the multiverse or anywhere else. It requires a commitment.
I am committed. I am committed to ripping it from your waist. Now, if you're a coward and want to turn me down, I'm willing to live with that because it will prove what I've said before, that you are not worthy of that championship or any championship. It's why it took you months to even debut at MNW. No one wanted you, Wiley.
I will accept your challenge only if you earn the right to face me. Just like everyone has before you, whether it was Canid, Brawl Kaiser, or even Johan Yom, they earned their opportunity. I will not hand you anything. Does this look like Warzone, Earl King? You must be lost.
Ah, no! Ha ha! Of course. Why would I confuse this with Warzone? Well, let's move on to step 2, coward. Either you're going to give me an interdimensional title shot, or I will unleash a hell upon this multiverse that even you, the great interdimensional champion, will not be able to stop. Do not push me, Dragonborn!
All right, so there you have it. It's while we were watching that, Scott, you actually made a astute observation about Earl King West and direct challenges.
Yes, I said that it's so funny that the only time Earl King West actually makes a direct challenge to anybody is when there's a title on the line.
But then Wiley made a great point as well, and I think one that anyone can agree to, that this is Flashbang. We don't give opportunities. Well, Flashbang doesn't give opportunities to people who just pop up and attack the champ or sit in the ring and going, well, I'm calling you out. As Wiley pointed out, it has to be earned. And I don't know that Earl King has earned it. So, of course, he resorts to his other standby threats.
All right. Oh, and of course, calling him a coward. Because, if you don't accept my challenge, that makes you automatically a coward. How childish can you get, Wes? And that is not a challenge.
Also a bit hypocritical.
I wasn't going to say it, but that's fair.
I mean, hey, Kettle, this is pot. You're black, right?
So with that, now the next match, this match, so as we said, there was no showcase match this week. But despite that, there was no lack of opportunities for our wrestlers to show themselves off. And last week, the Sentai sensation Brawl Kaiser came to the ring and in a very endearing way laid out an open challenge, as he put it, to avoid getting on the schneid.
I know we're not supposed to. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I know we're not supposed to be a bias or anything, but I love that dork. I love that dork so much.
I mean, that's you're not alone. He's won the hearts and minds of a lot of the multiverse, and he threw out an open challenge to anyone. And what can happen when you throw out an open challenge, especially on Flashbang? A lot of people will stand up and go, "I'll take that." And the brass went, "Huh? Well, a bunch of people accepted the challenge, so let's have a fatal 4-way."
We do have a very hungry roster.
We do.
Like any kind of opportunity that is presented, we have about 5 or 6 people, especially Rico Rose here, who's been relegated to showcase matches. I mean, Omni Geek is.
Good. I was going to say, yeah, Omni Geek, who's mostly been conducting an investigation for the brass, and then, Jack the questionable.
Jack the unquestionably tasteless.
I mean, Jack, besides Brawl Kaiser, I think Jack was actually one of the favorites to win this match. He's actually shown a lot of prowess in multi-man matches such as this.
Jack the questionable is no one's favorite anything except maybe Punching Bag.
Have you beaten him yet, Scott?
To my recollection, I've yet to face him in the ring, and boy, would I enjoy that little break from beating Apex's ass.
Fair enough. Now, as this goes on, we see kind of broke up into 2 pairings. You have Brawl Kaiser and Omni Geek, who feel like they're cut a bit from the same cloth, and then Rico versus Jack. And I suppose in Rico's case, he probably has much the same opinion of Jack as you do, Scott.
I'm sure the vast majority of the roster and the entirety of the Flashbang fan base does as well.
Yeah.
Because they mostly have brains in their heads.
Yeah, and let's face it, Jack is still coming to the ring wearing a replica of Shere Khan's mask.
And while it's not the original, it's still a disgusting display.
I mean, I think it's fair to say if you steal a part of somebody's ring gear and then keep wearing it to the ring, I mean, you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah, it is, as we in the business call, the cheapest form of heat. And I, as a professional, don't appreciate it. And I'm sure Shere Khan and every other luchador in the entire multiverse doesn't either.
Well, and especially because it's not just a piece of ring gear. You're disrespecting an honored tradition. On the other hand, we've seen, I would say, decent performances from all of the combatants in this match. But watching this, it does seem like this Rico was on fire during this match. And that's not to take anything away from Kaiser or Geek. But Rico was dominant all through the match and did manage to get the submission on the Omni Geek. I'd say if there's anything that's disappointing in this match, it's that the person who made the initial call out wasn't involved in the decision, win or lose.
That is absolutely a shame, but when you put out an open challenge like that, this situation is bound to happen, especially when the brass sees an opportunity to showcase with a lowercase s more than just one additional wrestler. On his side, Brawl Kaiser was not the one that took the fall, so his status is pretty much still the same. And real quick, can we comment about how amazing Brawl Kaiser looks right now? I told him about a guy that I had, and he went to him, and he came out looking like a star.
It is an impressive upgrade to his in-ring gear, and apparently there's something about something in his home universe about. I don't know, Takahatsu? I don't speak Japanese, so I don't know what that means.
Takusatsu.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. There's something about that work it helped with too. I don't know.
He reminds me of some TV shows I used to watch as a kid, but I don't know if there's a correlation there. It reminds me of it, but maybe I don't know. I'm not gonna deep dive into that one.
Yeah,
random coincidence probably.
Because also we want to avoid getting into any possible cultural appropriation. That would just be wrong. All right, now we've come to a point in the show we always like to highlight, and that is it's time for our first audio promo of the week. Every week, members of the rosters of both Flashbang and Warzone take the time to cut promos out of the ring. And every week we try and pick one of those to highlight. And this week we have chosen a recording that was picked up of the Bulldog, Grant Martin, and DeLuna 13.
Look, I just want to make sure you're sure about this. I know it's been rough, but do you really want to do this?
Grant, I told you I'm tired of all of this. We've been following their rules, all their procedures, and they have nothing. If doing things by the book doesn't work, maybe it's time to do things a little differently. Even if I have to do it alone.
Dude, I told you, I got your back, no matter what. Just want to make sure you're ready to do this. What you're planning is a dangerous road, and plenty of good people never come back from it.
Again, I wouldn't have to do this if it wasn't for the fact that... Hang on, I gotta take this. Hello? Yes. Are you sure? Right. Thank you. Motherfucker.
So we were right?
Of course we were. Who else would have done it?
So now what? You know they outnumber us.
Oh, don't worry. You know who would easily come help us out if we need it. But you and I have to prepare.
You go ahead. He probably knows you're coming. I've got something else I needed to do first.
And with that, let's go to the next match. While it doesn't involve either of those gentlemen, it is the match of Moira Draco versus those men's arch enemy, Kevin Blackwell.
And here we go, Moira.
And so this, as we said at the open of the show, this match came about because Kevin Blackwell inserted himself into a match involving Moira's son, Drathulu. and then came into the ring and celebrated with him. And
Yeah,
That's weird.
yeah, it does, especially because Cthulhu, let's face it, Cthulhu up till now has always seemed to be a very upstanding individual on the roster. He very notably won a Nexi for an incident that involved him assisting Dr. Caliban in the attempts to rescue the creation.
I mean, it could have been that Cthulhu probably thought that Blackwell was, trying to help him out, and I don't know, maybe see some good in him. But let's face it, I don't think there's any redeeming with Kevin Blackwell at all.
I mean, he's a hard man to like. That's for sure.
He makes it hard to like him, and Moira definitely saw this one coming. Like, no, he's probably going to try to stray my son to the wrong path. I'm dealing with this now.
I mean, that's pretty much
You
what
are
she's...
putting it so mildly. Kevin Blackwell is a monster. And I don't mean that like he's like, a really dominating guy in the ring and he tears apart everybody that goes up against him. No, like he is like morally bankrupt. He has no conscience whatsoever. He has no regard for anybody but himself. He honestly has no business being in a professional wrestling ring. And chat, I don't care where he's dominant. He, another part of my language, asshole.
I mean, let's put it out there. He is the person that ripped the mask off of Shere Khan and then gave it to Jack the Questionable.
Which isn't even his most egregious offense, but boy, is it up there.
He is also the prime suspect of DeLuna 12 El Chavo's mask being stolen.
Right, which we know still is a sore spot for DeLuna. And by association, also the Bulldog. And we still haven't seen Shere Khan since that happened. Since he was put in the hospital and had his mask ripped off. And here, he gets a victory over Moira Draco, who, you know what? She's not a weak competitor. We've seen her do some pretty impressive things in the ring. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to like him, but you have to admit he is a force to be reckoned with.
Yes, he is, and that doesn't excuse a damn thing that he's ever done. And I'm sorry, I'm going to hijack things for just a moment. Chat, you can go straight to hell comparing me in any way to Kevin Blackwell. I settle my business in the ring exclusively, and once the bell rings to signify the end of the match, my business is concluded. Never have you seen me attack somebody relentlessly with any weapon I can get my hands on, unless it was part of the match as sanctioned by the company. I have never attacked anyone backstage. I have I have purpose. I have conviction. Kevin Blackwell is a emotionless, moralless, directionless monster. And do not ever, I don't care who you are, do not ever compare me to him again unless you're willing to pay for your transgressions in that ring.
All right. Well, with that, Scott, I got a question for you.
Only one?
Well, one right now for dealing with what we're about to watch. As an active member of the Flashbang roster, what are your feelings? And I'm not asking for your feelings about Trashman Jones or Main Event Mex or Doom or House Caliban or any of that. Just in general, what are your feelings about this, the issues that seem to be mounting between the two brands?
Well, as I said when I came in to this conversation, that I feel that Warzone overall as a brand is jealous because Flashbang, which started off as the farm territory, the developmental territory, has risen up and become an equal, has become the superior brand of MNW programming. And the guys over at Warzone feel a little butthurt about it. And I'm sorry that we have the better content. We have the better roster. We have respectable characters in our roster, like DeLuna 13, El Pollo de la Muerte, and, dare I say it, Scott E. Stevens, all of whom are far more respectful and respectable than the likes of Trashman Jones and the rest of his so-called Nakama.
All right. Well, part of the reason I ask is this next match has its roots in this cross-brand conflict. But this involves the Cyber Controller taking on Mad Jack of Doom. So Cyber Controller has voiced his sympathies and, let's be honest, basically allegiance with Meme, and has so far been taken on Michael Macabre and the Night Reaper Zericus, and is now going for the hat trick in taking on the Pumpkin King. And his whole reasoning is that the Pumpkin King and the rest of Doom have been inconvenienced his fellow mechs.
The first word that comes to mind regarding Cyber Controller is unsettling. Like, the things that he's been saying week after week, not just about Doom, but about everyone on the Flashbang roster and all, like, organic life forms. All I can do is think of the worst Avengers movie ever made, and I just find it very, very unsettling.
Well, that's certainly part of it, I am sure. We wonder. The only wholesome mech we seem to have is Lasume, who we haven't seen in a couple of weeks. But
I believe they've been bogged down by commissions.
I mean, Lasume crafts work for all your crafting needs. I can see that.
Hey, it's convention season, starting up, so I'm not surprised.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah.
But I guess my concern here is, by default, it does strike me that the Cyber Controller is effectively siding with Warzone. And that's sort of where I was asking my question before this match, was with obviously you having your feelings about the differences between the brands. What are your thoughts on the Cyber Controller? And despite being a member of the Flashbang roster, seems to be hitching his cart to Warzone.
As far as I'm concerned, if he loves Warzone so much, he can by means ship off and go to Warzone. I don't care. We do not need his type being the anti-Flashbang type in our locker room. We don't need that kind of negativity here. We've got enough infighting as it is. We don't need this what's basically a mole of sorts, poisoning the roster. If he loves Warzone so much and he loves memes so much, go ahead and join them and get the hell out of our promotion.
All right.
See, and I'm over here thinking the exact opposite, that he was just looking for a match, honestly. Before Cyber Controller cut Mad Jack off on his promo, what was he doing besides
losing showcase matches?
Being in a showcase match back and forth.
I mean, that's fair. And the thing is, though, at this point, the Cyber Controller has managed to defeat all three members of Doom. So at this point, if he's making a point, I guess he's made it.
Yeah, because I don't even think it's about Warzone or Flashbang. He's just looking for something to do.
I suppose anything to get you on TV.
Yeah. So with that, and for the chat, people who've come in late asking why I have Scott E. Stevens and Joe Mojo, there was an issue that Pete McPherson had to go deal with, and apparently I am contractually obligated to have a co-host, and there was a call put out, and since Scott was already on standby for a phone call, the decision was made to bring him in. And then, of course, Joe Mojo is a member of the Firing Line staff. So that's why we're here now.
Yeah. If you don't like the fact that I'm on this call, audience, feel free to take it up with Mr. Lawson.
Yeah, and Phyllis was kind of looking a little frantic whenever she ran into me in the hallway.
Hang on a second. Pete, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay.
Hey.
Everything good?
Yeah.
All right.
Just, errands.
Okay.
I know that.
Well, gentlemen, I have my regular co-host has returned, so I think we can get back to business as usual. I thank you both for stepping up to the plate and helping us out through this little bit of a patch job of commentary. So before either of you head out, is there anything you'd like to add to the audience before we move on with the show?
I do hope everyone enjoys part 2 of the Naja Callout. And next week is going to be, interesting to say the least.
All right. We look forward to it. Thank you, Joe. And Scott?
Oh, before you think you can cut me off, in the email that I got from Mr. Lawson, he said that he expected me to be on the broadcast for at least the remainder of the Flashbang portion of the show, so I will be staying around for that long.
Oh, fair enough. You know what? That's fine. I got another note around. They looks like they wanted you to stay through at least the moment of the week. Something about there's something you might appreciate. Yeah, let's but thank you, Joe and Pete. Are you ready to go?
I think so.
Okay.
Goodbye, Joe. You won't be missed.
Oh, Scott. By the way, that thing of bourbon that you thought you had stashed away. Yeah, Brad got into it. Bye.
I get.
Hey, it could be worse. We had a previous commentator that every week somebody vandalized his car.
See, this is why I don't drive my own car.
Yeah, moving on.
I have people for that.
And his original co-host was a clown.
That's boy.
Don't even say that word.
No, don't. It's okay. Hey, let's move on to the next match, which is the Omni Slayers. Got with a bit of a call out from Apex. Now, this has its roots in the investigation by the Omni Geek and the determination that the poison used on Blight Hallis to retard his lycanthropy is poison used by Omni Slayers. Now, both Jagger and Artemis have stated that while they do have those poisons, that they had not used it on Blight. Nero and crew don't believe them, and thus we end up with this match. Now, Scott, you obviously have something to say here. You have fought both members of Apex in that ring, and now you see them going on the Omni Slayers. What are your thoughts here?
Well, first, I would like to point out that in a shocking twist, Nero Napier has joined his underlings at ringside, and I think that's funny that, like, within a week of me saying something about how he never comes and supports his so-called cohorts, he immediately comes out and joins them at ringside. I think that's very hilarious and hardly a coincidence. But anyway, if there's anybody who can handle the likes of Blight Howlis, his handicap aside, if that even is one, and Labris, it's the Omni Slayers. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't have a whole lot of professional respect for either of them, but this is kind of one of the lesser of two evil situations, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's fair. What do you think now? Do you believe the Omni Slayers in their claim that they had nothing to do with the attacks on Blight and Nero?
I do believe them because, aside from a previous rivalry that Jagger had with Blight, if I'm recalling correctly, there hasn't been any interaction between the Omni Slayers and Apex. And yeah, you've got, Artemis recently becoming #1 contender to the World Championship, but that doesn't give any justification for going after Blight. Why would you not go after Nero directly? So it just doesn't seem... It's not their MO, long story short.
All right. Well, as this goes on, I mean, here's the thing I want to say. Despite the fact that you have the retarding of his lycanthropy, as we see here, it doesn't seem like it slowed Blight down in the ring in the slightest.
I agree. I don't think it has at all, and I can vouch for that based on personal experience. You know, I've had 2 very hard-fought matches with Blight. One before he was poisoned, and one after, and there was very little difference between the fight that Blight brought. So, I don't think that Blight should be using the poisoning as an excuse for anything, because I think he's just as vicious a combatant as he's ever been. And as much as I hate to say it, props to him for that.
So while you're saying that, we've got we're getting message that out on social media. Kath Gina is stating it's all bullshit. They are liars and murderers. They cannot be trusted.
Now, wait, who are you talking about, though?
That's a good question. I'm gonna, from context and considering who it is, I have a suspicion she's talking about the Omni Slayers. But then again, it could be. I mean, we do know for a fact that Blight Hallis has eaten at least one person during his time on the roster. So I have a feeling it's probably the Omni Slayers. That'd be my guess.
Eating fellow roster members is extremely unprofessional, and I personally do not condone any wrestler eating another wrestler, or anyone associated, with the sport, with the company, be it a manager, producer, referee, registered anon, anybody.
Yeah, in this case it was a cameraman, but yeah, your point stands. Okay, now this next thing. All right, we're gonna analyze. We've something's been happening for the last few weeks, and we've mostly been just letting it happen and just sort of trying to gloss on by. But this week, I just want to take a look. So these videos have been showing up and appearing on the big screen in the arena and going out over the broadcast. And it's a series of disturbing images. There's weird sounds, and at times, even here on this broadcast, we have had people hack into our broadcast and make disturbing noises and other things. So what do we think is going on here? Do we anyone got any theories at all?
Scary as shit.
I think it's very entertaining, and the only thing I find more entertaining than these little videos popping up randomly is seeing people on social media squirm. Like there's fear, there's paranoia, and I think it's all hilarious.
All right. Well, there you've heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Scott E. Stevens is amused. All right. So Scott,
he ain't afraid of no ghost. Or whatever. That
I think you faced bad CG in the ring, haven't you?
Several occasions.
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember several. You had a bit of a feud with him, so yeah, not afraid of any ghost. We have that confirmed.
I ain't afraid of no ghost, no minotaur, no werewolf, no snake person or snurson, if you will, no lizard folk, no sunken sea captains, none of that. I don't care who you are, what you are. The more you try to scare me, the more I'm going to shove it in your face and humble you in the ring.
All right. Now,
what about the IRS?
No one misses. No, don't bring the IRS into this. Anyway, we're now at the main event, ladies and gentlemen. As has been stated, this week in a title defense, it is the team of Dungeons and Destiny being accompanied by their original mentor, Rapture New Road, taking on the Flashbang World Tag Team Champions, the Bone Warriors. Now, Scott, you've stated on more than one occasion that despite the fact you have been in tag matches, it's not your specialty.
That is correct. Why is that relevant?
It's relevant because this is a tag match, and so despite it not being your specialty, what's your take here? I mean, clearly the Bone Warriors have been a dominant force, having, I believe now, the longest tag reign on Flashbang.
Yeah, and they've kind of made short work of pretty much every tag team that's come up to them. Like, now, don't get me wrong, some tag teams, have come close, and there have been moments while watching that I thought, oh, maybe this is going to be the night. But then, same as always, the Bone Warriors pull through. And honestly, if there's a team that is likely to dethrone them, one would think it would be the first ever Flashbang Tag Team Champions. And just as a side note, why does Rapture Neuro think he has any right to be out there? He's on the Warzone roster, last I checked.
Now, true, although he was a member of the Flashbang roster in its first, I want to say, 6 weeks, and was part of Dungeons & Destiny, and was their original mentor. So there is a argument for him to be here in a non-wrestling capacity.
No, it doesn't. With all the nonsense that's been going on, with Warzone people invading Flashbang, Flashbang people retaliating by appearing on Warzone, all he's doing is adding fuel to a fire that I highly doubt that he actually wants to do. So if Rapture New Road has a brain in that little horned head of his, he needs to just stay in his friggin' lane.
Well, with that, what we have now is, as we're seeing, that looking at Spike and how exhausted he is. I mean, yes, both of D&D were laid out in the ring, but Spike, a zombie, had to catch his breath. So I think that makes a strong argument that this is one of the toughest teams the Bone Warriors had to face thus far in their title reign.
Well, like I said, Dungeons & Destiny are a force to be reckoned with, and, they're shape changers, and so they're shifty, and a word to the wise, never trust a shape changer. And never make a deal with a dragon.
I mean, I think everyone can agree with that advice. Sure. But then you have the boning hammer, and that is, as always, especially if Spike's on his toes, the Bone Warriors retain. That's the trick. How do you get past the boning hammer?
Clearly so far, you don't. If I knew the answer to that question, I would sell that to the highest bidder.
That's fair. Now, normally, main event's done, we'd be done with the night, but with everything going on, all of the chaos between the brands, the Brass's representative came to the ring to, let's be honest, lay down the law.
Ladies and gentlemen of the multiverse, you already know who I am, but I have never properly introduced myself. From now on, you may call me Mr. Lawson, the lawyer of MNW and representative of the Brass. And as their representative, I regret to inform you that they are extremely disappointed with both Warzone and Flashbang management and talent. For the last couple of weeks, there have been jumpings, there have been cross-promotional promos, there has been a complete disregard for the rules and regulations that have been put in place since MNW has been founded. So let me be extremely clear. It stops tonight. It stops right now. Rapture New Road, you want to tell me to go F myself? You are a fool. And I will make sure that you are made an example out of tomorrow night. Or maybe it'll be the next week. You won't know. But all of you, Meme, High Voltage, Doom, Conquest Bloodline, think that you have free reign over the multiverse. You are simply playing in the Brass's sandbox. So, the Brass has come up with an idea. An idea to end all of this. And you're probably asking yourself, what could possibly put so many warring individuals to bed? How could we end this once and for all? Well, I'm going to tell you. Tomorrow night on Warzone.
Well, so there you have it. We now know his name, Mr. Lawson, lawyer of the brass. And from that declaration, that meant we were going to see him the following evening on MNW Warzone. And we will cover that in later on in the program. But in the meantime, it's time for the Flashbang Moment of the Week. But first, ladies and gentlemen, a word from our sponsor.
Firing Line tonight is brought to you by Friday Night Flashbang. Friday nights are where you unwind and let the stories of Flashbang take you away with thrilling action. I don't like you, Fate. I'm gonna beat you up. Heated conflicts. We are going to stop it, boys. No, you stop it. And budding romances.
I love you, wife. I love you too, husband.
Back. No, not. Shut up. Deep in the heart of the best physical theater, the most successful soap opera, Flashbang, comes to you in 8 VHS collection tapes. Tune in Fridays for Flashbang, television's best theater, with award-winning actor and professional bikini model Scott E. Stevens. Come see why Flashbang is truly a Nexi-winning drama. This commercial was made by Maximilian Tendai, the #1 fan of Flashbang. #Flashbang Drama.
Oh, and by the way, there's the one more reason why I came on down here to this goddamn ring. And it's a very personal one from you in the back. All of you know it from my heart of hearts that I'm doing this for the real reason. I came here to piss in the toilet that created Wilson, the son of Will. So everybody, avert your eyes. We're about to go 18 goddamn plus here. Uh-oh. OJ! Oh, whoa. Last time I saw you, you were running away just like this. Away from me. This is my impression of you last time I saw you. Yes. You.
There you have it, the Flashbang Moment of the Week. And as for that commercial, I was checking, and the answer I got back was the airtime was paid for.
Maximilian Thunder Thighs, you can go straight to hell. You know what? Better yet, how about you come to Flashbang, come into my ring, and let me show you just what kind of physical theater I can put on. Son of a bitch.
Well, with that, we are at the end of the Flashbang coverage of the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big thanks to our last-minute sub-in host for the evening, Scott E. Stevens, the gentleman.
And I haven't modeled anything for 20 years, so shut your face. I mean, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Scott, and we'll see you later. Oh, and real quick on social media, Lady Catherine says, Scott, you want my help breaking his neck?
Sure!
And with that, it's time for the Callout with Joe Mojo. And this week, it is the second part of his interview with the newest member of the Flashbang roster, Naja.
Thank you, Firing Line, and welcome back to the Callout, and welcome back to part 2 of The Tale of Naja. My name is Joe. We're going to get right back on into it, so no time for delay. Naja, please go on.
Everything went to in Action Surge after that disgraceful night. Even when Rona confessed this whole smear campaign was her idea, it served me no pleasure seeing Selena double-cross her. All I knew was that both had enjoyed what they did to me. And for a Shalskaran like myself, that would not stand. After that defeat, I took a good long look at myself and came to realize what was needed of me. What RIW needed the most at that time while chaos ran rampant. Naja the champion was dead. Rona saw to that. Naja the Grand Chieftain was needed. And so I returned home and forged myself anew. I baptized myself in the pools of my war gods, stealing my mind with the fog of war, and donning the crest of my people on my back. I was no longer fighting for myself, but for the honor of my tribe, for they humiliated me before my own people, before my own daughter. My mission became clear that day. I would not rest until I made an example out of all of them. Suffice to say, my return was a well-needed one for the audience. While I was away, Dynasty and Selena's faction, the Court of the Jester, made a mockery of the stadium. Fortunately, a new contender for the title laid on the shoulders of a huntress named Dryka Imbermoon. She needed a tag team partner against Selena that night, and I couldn't be more delighted and disgusted at that opportunity. On the one hand, I got to get my claws on that whore once more. But on the other side, she kept finding a way to make a mockery of the ring, and charmed Briar Platfang to be her partner. The rival that I respected and the one I despised clumped together. A match made in heaven, I suppose. My new mettle was tested that night. Even after enduring 2 life-stealing kisses from that succubus, I endured. Even after battering myself black and blue against Briar, I endured. No charms would take me this time, and defeat was never an option. Dryka and I endured, and we brought that skank to her knees. Long story short, Dryka overthrew Selena for the title, leaving me the pleasure of finishing what I started that night. With no one to hide behind, I took my sweet, sweet time collecting my dues. Battering and bruising that pretty little face of hers was quite therapeutic, not gonna lie. After that night, I achieved my goal and made an example to both Selena and the rest of RIW that you do not with a Shaskaran. And as for Rona, whatever the reason, the brass never gave me my dues in reaping my vengeance against that crock of But that's not to say I didn't get my satisfaction from her. 'Cause I may or may not beseech my war gods to curse that bloody highborn. To always hold victory just beyond her grasp, but never achieve it. I absolutely loved the new tattered rags look she was sporting when RIW reopened that following year.
With RIW reopening its doors, you and your husband were the inaugural, and if I remember correctly, the current intergender tag team champions.
Funny thing regarding my husband was that I intended for him to come with me as I dealt with Selena. I made a call to arms with all my closest companions to join me in the fight against the bastards that were poisoning RIW. However, fate had a sick sense of humor that year as the registry was closed to all newcomers. It nearly took a whole year before my companions would step into the limelight RIW provided. But as soon as word came that there would be a mixed tag team champion on the line, well, I just had to drag my husband's regal tail to the stadium that night. Both of us won our respected pinfalls in the tournament and never lost one together since being crowned.
Unfortunately, it looks like you are on your own here as well. I mean, it's getting harder and harder for newcomers to come in. But thankfully, with your glowing recommendations, I mean, the history that you just provided alone shows that you are a top-tier talent.
Certainly was an upset to some, I'm sure. Including myself. I was minding my own business before someone from Flashbang approached me for this opportunity. Leaves me wondering who made that judgment call.
Was it a human guy with rabbit ears?
Honestly, couldn't say. I just got a letter regarding it all, with a contract included. Seeing how RIW slowly bled itself out again into hiatus, my natural curiosity got the better of me and I wanted to see what Flashbang was all about.
He's sending out letters now. Oh, but what are your overall thoughts of the promotion so far?
Bitterly sweet is the best I can describe it. I was enthralled with my debut night, facing off against all of the female competitors all at once. It was like fighting for the title of Grand Chieftain all over again. So naturally, I won. But then it got increasingly dull, and oh so infuriating with what I've been seeing around here.
Unfortunately, yeah, a lot has been happening when you got brought in. I mean, hopefully that last showcase that you were part of with Artemis should show the brass that you are in need of a serious look.
It took 3 bloody weeks before I ever stepped into that ring. What bloody company hires on a top-tier champion and shelves them for 3 weeks? Oh, but here's the thing. I'm not so much infuriated by my lack of matches, but more so with how I'm seeing the show treat their women competitors. First week here, no women to be seen. Second week, we get a woman's match, but only because some pig-headed men wanted to parade their wives around like a goddamn dog show. Oh, I bet my wife can beat up yours. Let's place some bets who wins and stroke our egos while they go at it. Whoever wins is the best power couple. Ugh. Say what you will in Flashbang's defense, but as far as what I've seen, a women's match around here feels more like a novelty match than an actual test of their own skills and merits. And the fact that I had to piggyback off of Artemis just to be in a match certainly doesn't help Flashbang's case any further. I had the honor of facing each woman at Breakdown, and I know from first sight there was amazing talent on display. And the fact that I've rarely seen the rest of them fight since then is dumbfounding.
You were just getting started, but unfortunately this has to be a place for us to stop. With all of this being said, as we are winding down here, is there anything that you would like to tell the Firing Line audience?
To everyone that knows me and those who don't, I am Naja. I recently came into possessing the title as the face of RIW's women's division. When I reforged myself to face down the troubles that plagued RIW, I did so for my daughter. Because if I couldn't make a better future for her, then who else will? Now I feel that duty extends to all the women I represent back at RIW, as well as the women here in Flashbang. Make no mistake about it, you lot hired on a beast, donning the catastrophic might of a mother's scorn. The ordeals that I spoke of today are but mere snippets of the fury I intend to bring to the ring.
Once more, if you would like to see the Beast Mom in action, please tune in to twitch.tv/Edward Bosco, Fridays, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. This has been Joe, signing out.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, part 2 of Joe Mojo's interview with Naja. Stay tuned next week. I guess we've got something interesting, according to Joe. With that, real quick, some social media call-outs that I want to get to. Gore Wheel was going, "It's only bikini. Why are you so mad, Scotty?" Okay, I'm sure that won't be a problem at all. From Maximilian Thunder Thighs. The Flashbang fan blog. Thanks you for playing the commercial. A lot of hard work went into it.
You can tell.
Yeah. And then finally, hey, we were talking about him earlier. Lasume01 the robot tweets out, I don't know which one is more frustrating. The fact that show is being roasted by a guy calling himself the Trash Man, or the fact that that our show is now late night drama. I'll be selling steel folding to be thrown at Trashman Jones if anyone's interested. Thank you, Lasume. And then once more from Kath Gina, looks at Miss Stabby Stab. To stab or not to stab? For now, I will say no. and I changed my mind. Max, come on in to Flashbang. Mr. Stevens and I wish to speak. Getting really heated on our social media tonight, there, Pete.
Well, this cross brand, this cross promotion battle has been heating up.
I mean, it has, and that's we can't get away from that fact. It's, as we saw all through the Flashbang coverage during the show, it's gone from just the simple meme versus Doom to now being full on Flashbang versus Warzone, and
War Games.
Yeah, and a lot of it, honestly, I think it would have not escalated. I think everyone would have been fine, except Trashman Jones realized nobody was looking at him and telling him he was a pretty princess. And so here we are. And
me.
Yeah, and it doesn't end. But first, let's get on to the Warzone coverage. And so, and that brings us actually to the Warzone audio promo of the week, because we always want to play these audio promos when they're most relevant to what we're going to cover next on the show. And the audio promo this week is directly referring to the first match on the program. So, ladies and gentlemen, we turn you over to Sir Uncle Dunk.
Oh, yes. It's all coming together. Coin by coin, my old fortune is returning to me, and soon I shall be back to the lofty heights I held before. I never thought it would be this easy to impersonate a charity and pocket all of the money. It's a good thing the schmuck movement managed to raise all that money for the local medical facility, otherwise I would be in a much poorer state than I am right now. Humble little simpleton. Soon I shall be ready to exact my revenge on all of those who have wronged me. I wonder what else I could do to get Bunny back. I suppose I could scalp some PS5s and sell them on... Oh, for the love of... Hello? Oh, schmuck, you actually found out about that. Well, it was your fault for falling for it in the first place. Look, I'll tell you what. Why don't we have a match this Saturday? If you win, I will return every cent of money I took from you. Agreed? He thinks I'm going to honor that agreement.
And that takes us to That One Schmuck, coming out to face Sir Uncle Dunk with a new valet,
Mr. Butler.
Mr. Butler. That's a look.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, he's bald. Seems to be wearing a mask of some kind. And a nice suit. So I think that currently that's all we know about him. He's Uncle Dunk's butler, and Also, apparently, that is not the original hat.
No.
Noticed
the lack of a warning symbol on it.
Yeah, apparently he decided to hide the hat for safekeeping. And other than that, yeah, Uncle, a new attitude, obviously, a new energy. He's, I guess the loss of his fortune to the Empire of Terror affected him more than we thought. And tweeting out on social media, Burnout Vaughn, has no one told Uncle you can actually sell loyalty titles legally? Easy way to make several grand. Yeah, probably not.
I hear Plasma scissors pay well.
Yeah, I've also heard there's some other things out there, but NFTs, I guess. Either way, I don't think that helps Schmuck as he tapped out. So even if no matter, I guess Uncle Lee now doesn't have to even have the pretense of paying him back.
Oh, but you'll see here. You see, still, maybe some kindness from Uncle Lee Dunk. He decided to give Smuck a little bit back.
Was he giving it back, or did he steal it from his wallet? Oh, I guess you're right. He did give it to him back. So yeah. Here's the thing, though. Are we sure he didn't steal it from his wallet and then put it in his mouth?
Maybe.
I mean, I you know, because at this point, I mean, I don't know anymore. I just don't know anymore. The only good thing to come out of this is that he's just deciding not to be mean to Sir McCheese. That's, you know, at least that friendship is going to stand the test of time, I hope.
Oh, I mean, McCheese is such a good being.
He really is. I mean, you don't really want anything bad to happen to McCheese.
No.
Now, moving on to the next match. This, you know, we for the first time in quite a while, Mr. Enigma making his way to the ring again to face another wrestler we actually haven't seen in ring in a long time, the Absolute Unit's TJ Gable.
Yep.
And TJ, of course,
the Mint Gable.
Yeah, known as the Mint. And an excellent wrestler in his own right, former boxer. And he's, I guess, with all the focus on Absolute Washington and Forrest Wade, that they decided they've made enough of a splash that it was time to bring TJ back in and show everyone that the Absolute Units are in fact a unit.
That's what he's been targeting this whole time.
Oh, and just a small correction. He is still technically a boxer. His return actually is because he's actually taking a break from boxing right now.
Okay.
That's why he's actually just finally returned, is because he was on a circuit previously, and he's just gotten back. So
all right,
he's getting back into this ring now.
Well, there we have it then. and making quite a splash in his return.
Yep.
And in this case, taking on Mr. Enigma and getting the win.
Answered that riddle.
Yeah. So the Mint continues the winning streak, or the winning ways that have become a staple of the Absolute Units. At this point, anyone who tries to disregard the units is doing so at their peril. But the other important thing is this means, and I don't know if people have really focused on this yet, the Absolute Units are a trio.
Indeed.
You know, and there's a lot of activity around the trios scene right now. So having them as a trio, plus once you're a trio, you're also a faction.
It's true.
That's just the rules. So take that from the nice thing I'll say about them is they're a focused group. They are, as of right now, seeming to be steering clear of any of the cross-brand mess. And more importantly, Forrest did my taxes.
Excellent.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm actually getting a return this year. I'm very happy.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone else on the roster, he's giving a great discount to members of MNW. If you're employed by the company, talk to Forrest. All right. Well, now with that out of the way, now we go from singles competition to the tag scene. And with that, we have your Nexi winning tag team of the year, the Los Bell Brews, taking on Bumblebee Tuna. You folks saw that right, by the way. That is a thing that happened.
Yep.
And this is now. Here's the thing: the Los Bell Bros, I would say, are easily the most beloved tag team on the roster. And with moves like that, I mean, the Brothers Bell are just so in sync when they're in the ring. They can pull off some of those crazy moves because they've been working together all their lives. And Bumblebee Tuna, they're a great team. Don't get me wrong. Bumblebee Tuna is a great team, a powerful team. But I would say the underdogs in this match against the coordination and skill of the Bells.
Absolutely.
And but on the other hand, while we talk about the inexperience as a team, that's still notorious CAT. You know, one of the most
and Bumblebee, the B is not any slouch by any means. You know, these are both at the very least these are two very large competitors.
Large competitors and experience in the case of Cat. But on the other hand, so are the Bells. I mean, Flyboy, the Bell Bros aren't even his first team in MNW. You know, before his younger brother joined him, he was part of Rhythm and Blues.
Yep.
And, where he teamed with the Dagger Daggerick. But while they were a good team, nothing compared to what he managed to do once his little brother came to join him.
His big little brother.
His big, it just size doesn't, Strongman is still the younger of the two. Despite also being, a big boy.
Yep.
On the other hand, I don't care how big you are. Taking a cat scratch fever, that's a hard one. That's one of the patented moves of Notorious CAT. But you know what? Strongman Bell is well named and is nothing if not resilient. And as we were stating earlier, yeah, you can be strong, you can be powerful. That doesn't always get it done in the tag division. Being in sync with your partner is probably the most important skill you're ever going to have as a tag wrestler. And the Bells have that in spades.
Absolutely.
Now, with that, and as that comes to an end, congratulations to the Bells. But that is not the end of the tag this evening. Although,
oh no.
Yeah, well, this next one, I mean, it's not terrible. I mean, we got some strong wrestlers and a lot of, we were talking about experienced tag teams. Well, we're going to see an experienced tag team with a little extra. But this one, well, we've been following the Star Chips. And so every wrestler you're about to see is involved in the Star Chip tournament, the results of the Battleground event. Although this is not a Star Chip match, this apparently, I mean, we heard from Maximilian Thunderthighs, this has more to do with a disagreement with where to have lunch. I don't know. Let's get to the ring. So first off, it's the All Lords. Being joined by Sparrow. And then their opponents are the Eastern Bloc Party and Maximilian Thunderthighs. So, of course, Sparrow and Squatch are part of the Star Chip tournament, as are Nice Ice and Maximilian Thunderthighs. A lot of different names have been given to this team. I've heard the Sparrow Holy Wing versus Nice Thunderthighs. I've heard the Deli Delights versus the what was it? The Deli Delights. Somebody just tweeted it.
Sausage Rollers.
Sausage Rollers. Deli Delights versus the Sausage Rollers. In the end, it's it's weird. Sparrow's the smallest person in the ring.
Well, and that's something you got to look at is that you've got the old Lords and they take on the Sparrow, whereas you have Eastern Bloc Party and they take on Max.
Yeah, yeah. It's
you're dealing with two very hoss-heavy tag teams and one takes on a fellow Haas, and the other takes on very much a cruiserweight.
True, but I mean, a skilled cruiserweight. I mean, Sparrow
no
is the
question.
protege of Daverman. But yeah, this is now. There will be later in the program. There will be a Starship match with an interesting setup, but we'll get to that later. In the meantime, part of this was due to the cross-brand tension, other than the already agreed upon match with that we'll see from the Beef and Probanaga, all other Starship and title matches were suspended this week.
Correct.
And so this match,
yellow alert.
Yeah. So this match, I guess, was to keep everyone in the tournament active. But in the end, you know what? Nice Ice got the final pin on Squatch. As you said, ultimately, this was a Haas fight with Sparrow thrown in for good measure.
Yep.
And that's, you know...
and it's hard to ignore this trio.
No.
I mean... Look at that Beef.
I mean, you can't. Yeah, and you know what? Max does match well with them. I think a lot of it comes from the match they had the previous week. I think there was a lot of respect between Maximilian and Nice Ice, where they decided they weren't going to do anything fancy. They were just going to have a straight up wrestling match for the Starship. And the one thing you look at that last match, I mean, these are all people that actually like each other.
I would say ultimately there aren't any hard feelings between any of them.
Yeah, they certainly get along, which is more than you can say for some of the other Starship holders. This next match, though. So this next match caused some hard feelings, although not necessarily for between the people in the match. And by that I mean, so you've got Theron Eldrazi of the Outlaws coming out to take on Hawaiian Anon. Apparently Anon went on vacation. And the reason that's
even HR needs a break.
Well, yeah, except that the Toxic Wastelanders tried to go on vacation, and apparently because they didn't file their paperwork for it properly, were recalled to have a match. And Anon told them they hadn't done it correctly. They didn't go on vacation. Then he goes on vacation. There's some feelings.
Yeah, it's understandable, I suppose.
And in the meantime, you've got the Outlaws, acting like the Outlaws.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've we haven't actually seen a lot of the Outlaws lately, so this is I think a chance for them to get back in focus. Remind everyone they're here, that they're former tag champions, and that they will be taken seriously. And they want to be taken seriously fighting a man in Hawaiian shirt and flippers.
Don't forget the scuba mask.
The scuba mask. I'm sure that scuba mask was very important to everything. Especially because he's wearing the scuba.
How else is he going to breathe underwater?
Well, but he's wearing that scuba mask over his Anon mask. Or what it is a mask, right? Right, Pete?
I've learned not to ask.
It might be time for the bloody.
I mean, yeah, you're right. But also, I'm looking at this and it's like, does the bloody end usually take that long?
It's adjusting for the flippers.
That's true, and that mask was probably getting in the way.
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, they're on.
But not too much, because he was still able to nail this again.
Yeah, I mean, that was 2 in a row. I mean, okay. Now, not the first time we've seen this behavior from Anon. So.
And now I have to wonder if the flippers are actually giving him some extra leverage with the length.
I hadn't considered that, but it's possible. I just, you know what? As weird as this looks,
those shorts are. What? I'm sorry, I was distracted by his shorts.
By his shorts, yeah, I can see that. But you know what? I'm glad he's not completely shirtless this time. I mean, you can still see the chest hair, but after what we saw last time,
landscaping.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna haunt my dreams. Okay, now it's time. We saw it earlier in the program. We've been talking about it the entire show. The cross-brand issues, everything going on with them. And on Friday Night Flashbang, we had heard Mr. Lawson, the lawyer of the brass, saying he was going to come on Warzone to make an announcement about the brass's position on all of the interbrand conflict. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here it is.
Now there's this asshole. Greetings, Warzone. You may call me Mr. Lawson, the representative of the brass. And after weeks of this faction warfare across multiple brands, I have been sent out here to put an end to it once and for all. This cross-show interpromotional nonsense will cease immediately. In exactly 1 week's time, the brass has created a brand new match never before seen in wrestling history. In 1 week, we will have faction warfare, a 10-team, 30-man over-the-top rope battle royal featuring 5 teams from Warzone and 5 teams from Flashbang. And seeing as how Meme, the Conquest Bloodline, and High Voltage have many issues with Doom and Flashbang, those 4 teams have already qualified, but tonight we will have a series of tag team matches to qualify the other 2 Warzone teams. So later tonight, the UK Spitfires will take on Omega Club, Legion will be fighting the Sentinel Recruits, and the NWO will go 2-on-2 with VIP. Oh, and Trashman, if you happen to lose that match, not only will you not be in your trios match, you will defend your hardcore championship against a member of VIP as you promised. Oh, and one more thing. Maximilian Thunderthighs, you seem to think Flashbang is a game. Well, next week, I have a very special surprise in store for you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something.
Sure, that's not going to go badly at all.
No, I'm sure it's not. And so there we have it. We've heard who will be the Warzone participants to qualify for that 30-man, 10-team battle royal. And of course, then we'll learn tomorrow night who will be doing the same for Flashbang. Some people have already been approaching, saying they want a shot, but that's an issue for that. Now, the other thing that happens after this with the Warzone coverage is after Lawson's gone, to keep everything fair and balanced, Flashbang's own Eric Genericson joined C- on commentary. So throughout the rest of the clips, if you hear in the background, you're going to be hearing Eric and C-. And that was an interesting interaction those two had.
Yeah,
but,
to say the least.
But let's go to the first match that Lawson had talked about, featuring VIP being represented by Suplex Sam, Wilson, the son of Will, and Power Surge. Well, not being represented by Power Surge, being with Power Surge coming out for Nakama Worldwide, along with their new member, Depth Charge.
Well, and an interesting thing to note here with these matches is that these matches are not as much specific to a particular pair as these are factions. So what you're going to start seeing is a lot of strategy going into who these factions are picking for their matches.
Yes, this is true. And also, if there's going to be other matches they're having in the night, who do they want to keep fresh for the other matches? And in this case, you know, you look at this, it's like we don't know a lot about this depth charge yet.
Can we just note Wilson trying to punch a scuba helmet?
That's true. I want to point out something else, though, and this is the real difficulty I'm having here. With how Nakama Worldwide has been acting, I'm finding myself in this match rooting for VIP. Because of what they did, I'm rooting for Wilson, son of Will.
Devil, you know.
And it makes me feel, and I feel dirty. Just, ugh. You know, I guess in odd times, you know, modern problems require modern solutions.
Well, and I was just trying to note, did Trashman just write Nakama Worldwide on his shoulder in Sharpie?
That's what I'm hoping. That's absolutely what I'm hoping. The problem is he might have written it in Sharpie, then they tattooed it on. That's also possible.
Yeah. I just hope it's not something like, you know, like branding, where it's like, you know, oh, now you're mine.
Yeah, because at least with a tattoo, even that can be removed. But either way, I mean, we don't know where he found depth charge, but, I mean, he got
Big
the job done.
Boy brought the win.
He did. So, you know, there you have it. Nakama Worldwide. They won the match. They're in, and that saves Trashman. It was this the match? There were so many matches. It was trying to keep straight. Yes. Who was doing what?
We had a lot of matches. Yeah. What were you trying to figure out?
Was winning this match saved Trashman from having to have the Warp Gate match?
Not quite yet. There will be another. The match that actually involves Trashman Jones is the one that counts towards that.
Okay. Well, as long as we're keeping things straight. And the next match. So this is another of the ongoing rivalry matches, featuring Leonid Sanchez of High Voltage taking on Zacho Duo of Main Event Mex.exe, because of course Meme has had a long-standing issue with High Voltage. After all, both R. Sawyer and Zacho Duo used to be High Voltage members, and of course a temporal variation of Zacho's creator, Chaz Lee, is a member of High Voltage, which is, we could do an entire recap segment on just the issues that Zacho Duo has with High Voltage. And this doesn't even.
And it's safe to say that over the years, the only thing that's really changed is that there are more people that Zacho Duo has issues with.
Yeah, and including, let's be honest, the entire cross-brand issue we're facing right now was started by Main Event Mex.exe. This is, there is a way to look at it that everything happening is Zacho Duo's fault.
Yeah,
and of course he would and does deny that. The position of Meme is that they just played a prank, and then Doom took it too far by costing them their trios titles.
Just a prank, bro.
And to me, it's the cycle of violence. You know, one bit of revenge begets another bit of revenge, and before you know it, World War III. And, and I think that we could have probably solved this with sending a few people to their room and not letting them have dessert, but no one asks me anymore.
Yeah, nor I.
No. I mean, that's the way it is. And despite that, going back to this match, so Leonid Sanchez is one of the newer members of High Voltage. I believe from my notes, he is in fact at least part extraterrestrial.
Yes, that is correct.
And but that nature does not save him from the Rock'em Sock'em robot that is Zacco Duo.
The human off switch.
Yeah.
Sticking it to high voltage.
And with that, he's we know he's
certainly
going
seem to be trying to rip one half from the other. If we're being honest.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair assessment. It's a scary assessment, but it's a fair one. Well, now we move on to this. Actually, was a very interesting match. This is the one star chip match we get in the evening, and it's a doozy. No one will lose a chip in this one. It's the Beef versus Probunaga, and they are fighting for. Yeah, and check me on this. It's 2 chips.
No,
what
this
chip?
is the one chip.
But it's the last.
This is the.
Sorry, go ahead.
The last remaining free chip that became available after Blue Dandy had to withdraw from the tournament.
Right. So, nothing to lose, but definitely something to gain, and a chance to get ahead in the Star Chip tournament, which is pretty good because at one point it looked like Probunaga was actually going to be knocked out. Then he made a comeback. The Beef, of course, looking for a chance at a very dominant position. If the Beef won, he would actually be ahead in the tournament. Whereas it would at least put Probunaga on equal footing with the Beef.
And for those that might have been a little confused, I don't know if this was made clear, but this is a 2 of 3 falls match.
Right. So 2 victories, 2 pinfalls or submissions are required to actually win the chip.
And we saw earlier Probunaga with the first pinfall.
Mm-hmm.
And now we see here the Beef getting his first pinfall, tying this up. So the next person to get a pinfall is going to be the victor.
And with that, the once glorious Emperor gets a mind your tongue on the Beef and uses that to get the pinfall, and thus does ascend the glorious Emperor. Actually, I guess the former glorious Emperor. He's now just citizen. In a lot of ways, he's now just citizen Probunaga.
Well, I would make the argument that still a lot of people would say he's glorious.
That's true. He is the glorious
and,
citizen.
Interestingly enough, though, Probunaga was very quick after this match to go to ask for a mic. And so then we see now that Probunaga making that promo.
Yeah.
Beef, we need one more match at some point in the future. The rubber match. You're a hell of a competitor even if you're a bit of an asshole. But you're a grade A-lister, that I can agree. I lost first and I thought it was all over for me in this tournament, and now I'm up 2 more points. And I see Sir Ugly Dunk's gone his own direction as well. Well, you know what they say. Judge a man by his actions, not by his words. And you'll know what he truly says, so by all means, Uncle Dunk, prove me right every single day. Next time I won't go easy on you in a match to make you feel better. It's so hard to decide who I will take on next. But I think I choose correctly.
Wait a second!
Wait, hold on.
The aristocratic Canaan!
Wait, hold on!
Warzone!
Wait, hold on! That's a Flashbang guy!
That is a yes! Question, has Probunaga ever pulled off a bow tie? No! Have you ever tried to tie a bow tie? No!
He wears a proper tie!
Are they? They're motioning for a mic!
Before I get to what my point was, I should offer my congratulations, glorious one. 3 star chips, whatever those are.
I mean this, with all due respect. Who the hell are you, and why the hell are you talking to me?
I am out here specifically for you so that you will learn who I am. My name is the aristocratic Kanan, the most dapper professional wrestler in this or any multiverse. But you seem like you don't agree by the look on your face.
Any man who wishes to call himself dapper before me best not say that with a bow tie around his neck. Otherwise, he'd make a clown of himself, and I'd know something about dealing with clowns.
So I am out here to put you in your place, just like Uncle Dunk did, just like McCheese should do. You are a disgrace.
No matter where you're from, know that when you personally piss me off, you're in deep trouble. So, aristocratic Kanan, I want to make you be a good dog and beg for mercy. Next Saturday.
And thus the cross-brand conflict escalates yet again.
Yes, it does.
Now
it's a dapper off.
I was like, at least that one was handled civilly. But,
for now.
Yeah. At this point, it's like, what's next? Are we finally going to get the dance-off between Defunk and the bad CG Ghost? While the Doof stands outside the ring looking sad?
I mean, that does sound amusing.
I mean, I actually would really like to see that, to be honest. But, yeah. You know what? Next match. And I believe this is another match for a place in that Battle Royal next week. With, or is it? Because you have the main event mix in this. But yeah, High Voltage versus Meme versus the Conquest Bloodline.
Just chaos.
Yeah, at this point, and this was part of it, it's like, I think I know who's doing what here. I think.
Yeah. That guy did. Oh, could you see what that guy just did?
Yeah,
Look at what that guy's doing over there.
And then whichever of those teams qualify, they're going to be right back out here towards the end of the night.
But with that, here's the other thing. Whenever
there's also the 2K19. We sure are seeing a lot from these superstars today, Phil.
Yeah, we are. Well, and as we've seen doing recap, anytime we're dealing with anything like this, it's just there's 6 guys in the ring hitting each other a lot. But in this one, some of the breakdowns are interesting. You've got Malice, who you can never just ignore, going after Aiden Zero, the wrestler of the future, the Mr.
Storm
0
planting
hour.
himself a wonder tree.
Yeah. But then going after Feel Good Inc. And then finally, this is the matchup. I think this is the matchup a lot of people were wanting to see after what had happened between them previously. Gorm versus Malice. And then heading after the Stan of Princess Boots, Feel Good Inc. The whole time, you've got Aiden Zero focusing on the real issue in his opinion, which is R. Sawyer. And here's the thing, with Malice in the way, Gorm kept trying to break up that submission attempt, and he kept missing because Malice was just positioned just right to deflect his foot every time. Thus, giving Aiden Zero
with the submission win.
Yeah, Aiden Zero with the submission win over R. Sawyer. So the 0 Hour takes down, well, not the 0 Hour, but the man from the future taking down the former undisputed future. Yeah. And so we will, that settles that matter. But we're not over yet. Another match with a bit of heat behind it. You have the recruits, or the potential members of the Sentinels. Lieutenant Phoenix Hallux and Captain Quebec taking on Louis McDonald and Trice of Legion. And if you guys are wondering, if you haven't seen it before and you're wondering who the man in blue is, that's Captain Quebec, formerly known as Lade Highrolled, the French-Canadian daredevil taking on a superhero persona in as an attempt to join with the Sentinels.
And for those unaware, the Quebec colors are blue and white, hence the color scheme of his outfit.
He is, in fact, appropriately dressed to be representing Quebec, including the fact that, let's be honest, that looks a lot like he's wearing hockey gear.
Don't worry about it.
Hey, you know, I think if you're going to be a Quebec superhero, I think that's appropriate. I think he's right. And then, you know, you don't need superhero gear when you're a fireman, as is Lieutenant Hallux.
Now, on second look, it does appear that he might be wearing a hockey goalie leg pads.
Yeah. So probably that could be part of his family gear.
Possibly.
You know, long tradition. And then, of course, Kane getting involved. Kane, the third member of Legion, doing exactly what I bet Louis wanted him to do. So this team Legion, they're three individuals who feel they have been treated unfairly in MNW, who feel that they have been denied opportunity, they've been denied their due respect, and they have banded together to demand it and to force people to give it to them. And as part of that, they get this victory because it turns out Captain Quebec probably isn't used to all that gear yet.
Oh, that's certainly possible.
Yeah.
Well, one of the biggest conundrums I'd say with the group like Legion is that, you know, aside from maybe Louis, the other two have a bit of a point.
Yeah, they do. Which unfortunately makes me feel like it's just another group of people that have Louis McDonald taking advantage of them.
It does happen, unfortunately.
It happens a lot, and I think that because, like you said, both Kane and Trice, you know, they can clearly say they have been treated unfairly. So now, before we go on, well, actually, yeah, this is I'm double checking. Yes, this is the match. I wanted to bring. We're going to bring in somebody after this match. Let's just say that. And that is as another qualifier, the UK Spitfires scheduled to go against a Mega Club. But that's former Mega Club member and current World Heavyweight Champion Burnout Vaughn, being joined by his fellow Roughnecks, the Toxic Wastelanders, coming to ring to aid his former Omega Club partner, Mega Blitz X. And this is, you talked about that strategy earlier of keeping members fresh for later matches. And this is great for Omega Club, who are down technically to 3 members, of bringing in a former member to keep other members fresh.
Absolutely.
And ladies and gentlemen, we are now being joined by our broadcast colleague, Eric Genericson.
Oh, hi.
Hey, Eric. Glad you could make it.
Yeah, glad I could make it too.
So this is interesting because you had the rare privilege of calling a Warzone show last week, including this match.
Yeah, including a couple all by myself. This is cheating, by the way.
So
I don't know if you know that, but this is cheating. I don't know if anybody saw the Revenant throw that chair in there. Can we talk about that for a second?
We saw it happen. I mean, it's not the first time it's happened on any match. I mean, people throw chairs in all the time. You've seen that. But
yeah,
right.
I call it out, but it seemed like C-Minus conveniently was like, I didn't see anything.
Now that's true. That's true. And usually he's the first one to call it out. He's usually the first one to yell, hey, ref.
I'm just saying, like, why? Why do you need to do that? Like, I get it. Maybe you can't beat the UK Spitfires clean, but I feel like Vaughn has proven that he can do that, although he just got kicked in the dome
Yeah.
So maybe that didn't work out too well.
Yeah, but on the other hand, once McMorgan's in the ring and has to face, the current Big Oof champion, he still has the
This
belt.
was the second one. And watch Burnout Vaughn. Watch him push Ginger Boy out of the way. Did you see that?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even catch that until I watched the replay later. He comes in the ring. He shoves. Ginger was there.
Mm-hmm.
If Burnout doesn't shove him, that's a breakup.
Well, and that's the kind of thing that shows you why Burnout now has the biggest prize on Warzone. That kind of ring awareness, that knowledge of, okay, I see what Ginger Boy's going to do.
His friends.
Yeah. This was good. Now, real quick here. Now that this match has wrapped up, and has wrapped up in the favor of Burnout and Mega Blitz, I want to bring in one of the gentlemen who was at ringside during that, that being one of the members of the Toxic Wastelanders and the Roughnecks. Ladies and gentlemen, Gorewheel.
Good evening. How's it going?
It's going good. So Gorewheel, this was an interesting matchup. How much lead time did you and Vaughn and Revenant know that this team up was going to happen?
Believe it or not, Mr. Aldini, we were quite short-timed when it came to this alliance. And in all honesty, well, let's just say after things started going down south with how decisions were being made, we decided that it was time that we took matters into our own hands, so to speak.
I see. I can't help noticing tonight, Gorewheel, or I guess you're Mr. Wheeler. You seem to be you seem to be talking a little different tonight, sir. You seem to be having a.
Didn't you used to be Cockney?
I was gonna say, is this your court voice? Is this your lawyer voice we're hearing?
Again, sir, I'd like to separate both sides of my life and keep a nice little wall between them when I need to. But if you prefer, I could throw the mask back on and give a little show, but I don't think that would be, well, polite for either of us.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fine. I'll, I noticed the heat's not rising like it usually does when we're talking to you, so I'll take that too. All right. Well, then, sir, I guess we'll thank you for your time. And
also, I owe Gorewheel an apology. He pointed out something correctly. He was not the one who threw the chair in, like I said. I was under the false assumption that he actually did anything in that match. So that was my apologies. It was all Revenant.
Mr. Genericson, everything is fine. I'm just glad to see that the mistake has been rectified. Granted, it did sting a little bit, but it's fine. Nothing, no problems. It's all water under the bridge. And honestly, thank you, Mr. Aldini, Mr. McPherson, Mr. Genericson, for even having me here.
Why the... Thank you, sir, and we look forward
Tell Revenant to quit cheating.
Talk to you again in the future.
No problem.
Yeah.
Enjoy the murder.
Why he's single.
But why do you have to
quit cheating, or he'll stay single.
That's okay, fine.
All the single pandas. All the single pandas.
I have one question.
Put your hands up. Yes.
And
do you want to die on that?
Do you happen to know, did C- ever study under Bobby Heenan?
No. Did Gorewheel ever study under Abyss?
That's another good question. Yeah.
Just, food for thought.
Well, I was just noticing. It seems like that last week, C-'s commentary style took a shift.
Yeah. Interesting how that happens when there's things on the line.
Yeah. Well, speaking of things on the line, another match with.
Oh, I thought you were gonna bring in Scott again. Oh, don't say it like that.
No. He made it very clear. He's only interested in the flashbang portion. So,
wow.
It's okay. It's okay.
He's still tweeting on social media.
Well, I think he's looking for Max after that commercial.
Fair enough.
So, But the next match, so it's Conquest Bloodline, and again, it's the the issues we were talking about of who do you bring in to keep things fresh. And this time it's Sam Jax and Carnival taking on Chaz Lee and Justice Jake.
Well, and what's interesting is it looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like VIP is just kind of chilling. Like, no Alba, no Azir, no Wilson. But here you have the remaining members of High Voltage and of Conquest Bloodline. We already saw Meme earlier in the night against in a similar style matchup. And I can't help but think, all these tag teams are working either twice a night or at least once a night. And then in a week, they're going to go through a match which we've never seen before in the history of professional wrestling. And VIP is just kind of chilling. Like the team that gets a sweep waiting for the guys in the other conference to finish up their 7-game series. They're just kind of there, waiting, resting. And I wonder whether the ring rust is going to bite them or if they're going to be so well rested that it just doesn't matter who wins this faction warfare match. Because, Justice Jake and Semjax, 2 former champions in their own right. Then there's the thing that's in the corner. Mm-hmm. They call it Carnival.
Yeah.
And then Chaz Lee, who apparently he's not in the final 3, last I checked. But, he was in this match. So even if they win, High Voltage is going to be exhausted.
Yeah. No, you're not. Yeah, you're not wrong. And
I guess that's what they call a champion's advantage on Warzone is, the champions just don't have to do anything.
They get to rest unless somebody jumps them from behind.
See, they don't have to do as much.
That's why I appreciate Wiley. He's a fighting champion. He'll get in there whether his belt's on the line or not. He got into a contenders match.
Yes, he did.
He was like, here's 5 guys that I think should be really, really in the title picture. Oh, and by the way, I'm in the match too. Didn't have to do that, but he was. So good on Wiley.
Now, I will say this. Conquest Bloodline, yeah, they're strange. They have freaky members. But their leader's in there and will mix it up.
Yeah, he's very trustworthy from what I hear.
I don't know about trustworthy, but, he's not afraid to go in and get his hands bloody.
It's just, I don't know how things are done over on Warzone. I'm not really familiar with the way things are taken care of, but I understand everybody being in matches to keep the playing field even, which should include VIP. I mean, the Beef was in action, but he's not part of their trio squad, so it's a little deceiving. Stuplex Sam was in action, but, where's Azir? Where's Alba?
Yeah, that's true. They threw out Wilson, but they
threw out Wilson, but as one of our fans tweeted on social media, having him in the match is basically 3v2. So if he even shows up, it's a disadvantage.
Yeah. So we're gonna keep going. Now this next match, and Eric, this was gonna you were there, you called it. This was in a lot of ways a way of balancing scales. This was a rematch from the night before on Friday Night Flashbang. And we've already covered the first match earlier tonight. It's a rematch on Warzone between Helix Sucks and the Cleaver.
And I think this was part of the reward for Helix defending Flashbang against Trashman Jones. I think the brass was like, all right, we know you have to get through the Cleaver. We know you want to fight the Cleaver. Here you go. You got him.
Yeah. Here's the Cleaver.
Yeah. And as we were discussing earlier with Scott, as he was quoting you and saying, any given Saturday, depending on who's in the ring, it can go either way. And that with Helix X and the Cleaver, they're honestly so evenly matched that it can be a heartbeat's difference to determine which one is going to come out on top.
And that's kind of the thing, is if Helix is the Kansas City Chiefs, then I would say Cleaver's probably the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, there you go. Sorry, that was probably
sports ball.
Yep.
I recognize that those were teams.
Yep. Anyway, what about that wrestling match?
It's and it shows that because the night before, while they were fighting well, there was always a feel the previous night. I think the Cleaver really threw off things because for the first time in a long time, that lantern came out. And
I mean, it's interesting that he's chosen now to bring it back out.
Yeah.
He used it initially as intimidation towards Jagger, Blackthorn, and Artemis, but he still has it, obviously.
But even though he brought it out this time,
did he think that it serve the same purpose against somebody like Helixux?
And it might have the first night, but I think one of the lessons you got to take is, don't keep going to the well too often. Switch it up, especially against somebody like Helixux. This man, as we had reviewed on Sunday when we were reviewing old matches, and in fact has gone live on the YouTube channel this evening. Helixux, with that impressive victory, winning his heavyweight title belt against Arkolv. This is somebody who's taken on the best the multiverse has to offer, and come out on top. And here you have him now taking on the Cleaver. Yes, this is the person Earl King West sends out when he wants somebody dealt with. But I think the Cleaver, as we saw here, getting that victory that shows that going a second time against Helix after he's had a chance to scout your skills, that's a
different story.
Yeah. I would say, especially the night after, while everything is still fresh in his mind. So, with that, Eric, correct me if I'm wrong. That was the last person that Helixux had to go through to get his hands on Earl King West.
I mean, I think he said there were 3. There was Lord V, there was the Cleaver, and I don't know who the last one is unless he's including himself.
Well,
he's technically already beaten Earl King on Warzone, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple other people, but
is there a member of the Empire of Terror that we're not thinking of? Has he beaten Simon?
That's what I'm trying to remember. I don't know if he's beaten Simon.
I'll tell you what, we got to get to the statistician on this one. Let's look it up.
I mean, there are a lot of members.
I feel like Helix chokeslammed Simon to hell on like his first or second night.
Oh, he did. Yeah, no, that happened, and I think he's dealt with the Grim Reaper. So
definitely beaten the Grim Reaper before. He's definitely beaten Dark Lord Popo. We remember that match.
And I believe there was a match between him and Johan.
Mm-hmm.
So unless we're talking about some of the further out associates, or
oh no, who's married to Johan?
That's what I was just thinking. That it could be Tiger.
Oh, but he wouldn't.
I mean, he would.
No, he would though.
He would if he was actually decided just to put the screws more to Johan.
Oh,
I mean, it's just like him.
Oh no, he would, wouldn't he?
He would. He absolutely would. So it. There's no depths he won't go to. So with that, now the next thing we saw,
gonna be pissed.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, the next thing we come to, actually was this. Looks like Trice decided to soften up the competition, doing the math, and who else could Dockable Worldwide send out, and going after Bart Ender, and this. Let's face it, Bart Ender can't be feeling great after, making the brilliant decision to take on the Creation backstage the night before on Flashbang.
But still, at least in this instance, he was the freshest member of the team.
That's true. He at least had a night to try and recover.
Which makes sense, because that's why Trice would go after him, to make sure that all things are even.
Yeah.
And then look, hey, it's the team they screwed over.
Yeah.
DJ coming to the rescue.
And you know what? Talk about freshness. Trice has now fought in a match and fought Bart Ender. Now coming in.
If he would have just left things alone, they would have had a much better.
Yeah.
The cart.
And that's good. I'm going to say it. Good on DJ.
Yeah, I mean, turnabout is fair play. I mean, they did jump them when they had a world title match.
Yeah. And Fear Strike's going, well, what's good for the goose?
Yeah, I mean, remember, he had that amazing match with Kane, and he's like, well, if you guys want to keep messing around, I'm more than happy to put you back in your place one more time.
Yeah.
And that's a man who would he would go on to call out Jungos for the Nexus Titan Championship.
And that's a match I think everyone wants to see.
Yeah, remember, he couldn't get a Big Oof title mostly because of this faction warfare stuff and what Legion was doing. So he feels a little slighted by Legion and the fact that he is now no longer able to get a Big Oof title shot. But, it might work out for him. He goes after the Nexus Titan, and, if he can win that, that'll be probably the biggest win of his career. Because he's already had I think he's had the Big Oof before.
I think he's had the Nexus Titan as well.
Okay.
And we also saw earlier in that footage, we saw the other half of Funky Beats going after Louis McDonald. We saw Defunct going after him.
And again, don't mess with the funk.
No,
don't fake the funk.
No, as we said on right now on YouTube, you can see the match where Defunct had the final match with Edward Bosco. And
that's true. That YouTube event, the behind the scenes, that was a good. I tuned into that. That was good.
Yeah, it was some good stuff. And that is now available on YouTube. You can see both the match between Defunct and Edward Bosco, as well as the match of Helix Sucks versus Arkoff for the belt.
Both at Apocalypse 2019, and if you wish to watch the entirety of Apocalypse 2019, that is also available on the same MNW YouTube channel.
Now, as I said earlier,
YouTube.com/Multiverse Nexus Wrestling, folks.
Yeah. Now, with everything going on with
we're
this,
getting there.
With this back and forth with the brands and the warfare, the one thing that Seeing Defunct reminded me, the only thing I would like to see out of all of this was the final chance for a dance-off between Defunct and Bad CG Ghost.
Oh. Yeah, but there's a lot of people who would, I think the Madness would want in on that. I feel like Doof would be like, well, I have to be in this. Sugarfoot Iron would say, excuse you.
I mean, sure.
Like, there's not just one good dancer. There might only be one good dancer on Warzone, but there is not just one good dancer on Flashbang.
Well, okay, good dancers and the Doof.
Wow. I'll let him know you said that.
Yeah, you can. I just, you know what? If we weren't spending so much money on that pyro.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Just tell him it's from the finance department.
Yeah. All right. So now that we saw Legion have that wonderful experience backstage, they get to come to the ring, not looking so great, and they get to take on, well, there he is, Trashman Jones and Chained Hell.
So here's basically what happened. Legion was like, "Hey, we're gonna that you're supposed to have in your team and make sure that they're not fresh." And then the guys that we screwed out of their title shot are going to come and beat us up. But because the NWO didn't have any members that were fresh and were being checked out and didn't get cleared by medical, they sent out the team that they also screwed over who were going to defend those belts. So now you're in there against 3 champions, and all 3 of your members have been beat to hell. Kane, who was the freshest man, has now been beat to hell, thanks to Fear Strikes. So what did you really accomplish by doing all that? I think Legion outthought themselves, which is possible. When you think you're the smartest guy in the room, you're probably not.
Yeah, and I mean, even when you're fresh, taking on Chained Hell is not an easy proposition.
No.
They have reached where they have, let's face it, as a relatively new tag team to reach the heights they've reached. And a lot of it from just sheer brutality. I'm sure. But on the other hand, if you're Legion, it's like, oh, who are they going to have? I think part of this shows the fact that Legion, for everything you can say about them, outside of the box thinking, not their strong suit.
Well, and their biggest complaint is going to start turning into their biggest weakness. And you have the faction that is built off of people overlooking them, and they are going to be one of the biggest factions to overlook their competition.
Huh? I think you're right. I think you've got a point there, Pete. I think and if they don't turn that around, they are going to stay right where they've been.
And you know what? Trashman pulling a little Wilson son of Will there with a low blow.
Yeah, well, on the other hand, got the job done.
Unfortunately.
And,
I mean,
let's be honest, this surprises nobody when it comes to Trashman.
I mean, he was he was getting ready to urinate in the middle of Flashbang's ring. If Helix
until Helix was like, "I'm sorry, but no."
That's you will not do that. No. And now, guess we're gonna see them in that match next week.
I mean, props to Legion for even putting up a fight, because they could have just rolled over and died, but they are going to be pissed that they did not get an opportunity.
Yeah.
But they really only have themselves to blame.
Well, with that, we have one last match. It's the main event. It's Omega Club being represented by Whitney Lee and Alpha Kong and Kelly.
And here's why this is... Oh, yeah, and then, of course, their opponents.
Yeah, and they're taking on the surprise team. And the moment you heard the music, you knew what was going on.
I knew, and I was sorry because I thought that they were in trouble and they just lost a spot. Because here comes Apex.
And let's talk about Fresh. They had these 3 Apex members hadn't wrestled the previous night.
They hadn't wrestled the same night.
Yeah, they were as fresh as could
but
be.
Neither had Omega Club, and this is why this is brilliant. So think about, I don't know if it was Alpha or Mega who put this idea together, but first to have Burnout Vaughn help out. I don't know if that was Mega's idea, I don't know if Alpha talked to him, but that was brilliant because it kept you fresh knowing you were going to use Kelly because you technically had 4 members and Vaughn as a sub. Like, it was brilliant on Omega Club's part. They didn't break the rules. They didn't do anything. I don't know if Omega Club's paperwork for Vaughn leaving has gone through yet, but maybe he was still considered part of the fact. Whatever it was clearly legal because they let it happen. And it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, and I can't speak with any sort of certainty, but it has been noted several times that even when Burnout was making his departure from Omega Club, he made a point to say that he had no ill will against Mega Blitz specifically.
Yeah. And you saw right there, so Zephyr had an opportunity to stop Whitney Lee from breaking up that pinfall, and that might come back to haunt them if they check the tape. Although this, man... A Yoho elbow and a Phoenix down at the same time. This was ridiculous. Hey, Whitney, take this elbow with you, and there's a headbutt for Alpha.
Yep.
Well, and this goes back to the point we've been seeing of people trying to disregard the successes of Zephyr and Phoenix.
Yeah.
And in recent weeks, them coming back to say no.
But let's talk about the newcomer. Whitney Lee, first of all, he stops the Yoho elbow a second time. He chucks Zephyr off the top rope onto Phoenix, then drops Phoenix with a flatliner, and while Kelly has Mizuki, picks up the win for Omega Club, so the rookie paying immediate dividends for his team. And they rewarded him. If you check the lineup, it looks like Whitney Lee's going to be one of their 3. It's not Mega.
Yeah, great performance. Probably the best performance we've seen from Whitney Lee since his debut. Honestly,
it was just an absolute, the term clutch comes into mind in terms of his performance that night.
Yeah, and that is, I mean, good scouting, because if I'm correct, Alpha Kong is who scouted Whitney Lee for Omega Club.
Yes, that because I understand that they had a conversation. He's the one that brought him into the fold after Burnout took off. They wanted to replenish their ranks, and Whitney is who they found because he wasn't doing a lot. Like, he was part of the sound. He was kind of toiling in the middle of nowhere. Then his tag partner got demolished, and so like, why not?
Yeah, so it's paying off for Whitney. It's paying off for Omega Club,
and what a showing for Kelly. Like, she doesn't wrestle very much, but if she doesn't keep Mizuki preoccupied, she breaks up that pin.
Yep.
Yeah, no, a great job by Omega Club, both in ring and strategically.
Yep. Again, I don't know how they pulled off the Burnout thing, but they made it work.
It got it done. So with that, that was the main event. So that just leaves us the Warzone moment of the week, and as if you didn't know what it was going to be.
Wait, hold on. Introducing his tag team partner. Doing one for his home team. You can't say he ain't never done nothing for ya. Coming to the ring, my fellow Roughneck members. Gorewheel and the main man, Toxic Wastelanders. He is the MNW World Heavyweight Champion!
The MNW Heavyweight Champion Mega Blitz had an ace up his sleeve!
Well, it looks like I just said it. Some people thought that was BS, and it looks like the former member of that faction.
I cannot believe that Burnout is going to ride one more time with Omega Club.
Zach Morgan is holding back Ginger Boy right now. Ginger Boy is bouncing.
I mean, this makes perfect sense. I mean, he despises Ginger Boy. He can't stand McMorgan, and so he's sticking it to everybody. He's trying to help Omega Club qualify.
Well, now he can't say you never done nothing good for you. Makes sense in that regard.
I mean, Burnout Vaughn has never had an issue with Mega Blitz. He's always been cordial with Alpha Kong. He doesn't even know who the hell Whitney Lee is. I mean, why not?
We gotta look at the difference. Trice left by attacking Mega Blitz. He's left and has helped him. And that just statement talks about the difference of character between Trice and Burnout. Now, Burnout said he wants to defend against Trice someday, but I gotta wonder if Trice will ever truly deserve it. J Frost 100% surprise Gates. We're bringing the heat. Travis, we're with
All right, there you have it. Moment of the week. And we're hearing on social media from Gorewheel. Still happy to have seen Omega Club win that. We'll be buying some rounds from the pub. And then Kelly just tweeting out, love this entrance.
It is a good entrance.
So before we wrap up for the night, there was a moment that happened in the show that was, even though it wasn't the moment of the week, it was a standout enough that we definitely wanted to commemorate it. It's how would you describe this, Pete?
What the fuck?
Sure, let's go with that. Here it is.
Oh, no, there it is, there it is! Money clip again! Another money clip applied to Schmuck! And now the ref does some laps.
All right.
And
so
there you have it.
That happened.
And what we are calling a MNWTF moment.
Early contender for the Wilson of Warzone?
Yeah, I mean, sure. The ref.
Yeah.
Let's get a ref up for a Nexie. Why not?
Let's do it. Why not? I mean, we crap all over him. The least we could do is give him a Nexie.
That's right.
Although it is a Wilson.
It is. But, I mean, hey, you know. I know some people that are proud of winning Razzies, so whatever.
It's true. So if you like a Razzie, maybe you like a Wilson.
Yeah.
He's like the raspberry of an MNW, so there you go.
So, Eric, do we have have you heard anything from the brass about what we're going to see tomorrow night?
I mean, I have been given the teams that are involved in faction warfare. So just to reiterate, Doom has already qualified. So there will be 4 matches with 2 teams apiece in each match. So we will have 5 teams by the end of the night. So we will have 4 trios matches, a team and a team. Out of those matches, we will get our other 4 qualifiers. It's just going to be straight up trios matches. We're not doing any tag matches, nothing like that. It's just going to be straight up trios. It'll be Tornado Tag Team. And yeah, if you're in a trio on Flashbang, you're probably in this because there are 8 teams.
All right. Well, there we have it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of another MNW Firing Line. So, on behalf of our guest hosts this evening, Joe Mojo and Scott E. Stevens, and our Eric Genericson and Pete McPherson, I'm Jerry Aldini. Have a good night, and we'll see you in the ring.
Hello there, children and fans around the world. It is the great behemoth Maximilian Thunderthighs, telling you all to like, comment, and subscribe to the MNW channel.